And I've got the broadcast set up now through Restream. So when we're
Oh, nice.
live, yeah, it's on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, Periscope, the studio Facebook page, and my personal Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And all the chat room congregates into one web based chat client. So I see everything. So nice.
Yeah, I've done nothing with any of my streaming shit in forever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get more into it. I overloaded myself with way too many projects
Hmm.
for way too long, and I think that's gonna be like we have this show, and me, Brandon, and Corey want to bring back our Solutions to Fix the Universe podcast, the
Hmm.
STFU. And that's kind of where we want to sit for podcasts. And then I want to focus on my streaming. I just redid my whole game streaming overlay. I bought a whole animated package from nerdordie.com.
Oh, nice.
So that all looks really cool. And I'm trying to
Hmm.
set up a schedule and stick to it. And I don't ever expect it to go like, I mean, I'm never going to get with the podcasting or the streaming. I'm fully comfortable with the fact that I'm never going to get to the point where it can be a job. Like it will
Hmm.
never make enough money to be a job. But
Yeah.
I figure like, I can take it seriously enough, like, especially with the podcast, because, we don't have the largest fan base, but the fan
Hmm.
base that we have is loyal. Like our first night back 5 weeks ago, after being gone for well over 8 months,
Hmm.
we had like 8 or 9 people in the chat.
Nice.
Which isn't, again, it's not a huge number, but to have that many people that are like, look, we've missed you and you've been gone,
Yeah,
like
seriously.
that's cool. Um, Justin Robert Young, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He podcasts for Frog Pants and for Diamond Club. But we had him on a while back, and we were talking about numbers, and he was saying that uh, because of the internet, we blow
Hmm.
numbers out of the water. And if we don't see 1 million views or 10 million views or whatever, like uh, it doesn't seem large to us, right? Because
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
way the internet blows that out of proportion. He goes, but if you, especially with podcasting and especially with
Hmm.
live podcasting, he's like, I don't care if you have 2 people or if you have 10 people or if you have 10,000 people. He goes, but let's look at 10 for a second. He goes, you show up at the same time every week, the
Hmm.
same day, and you have 10 loyal people who show up and don't say anything but listen to you talk for an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, you have a cult and you're a cult leader.
It's a
um
good way to look at it.
yeah, he's like you can't look at giant numbers. He goes, you're one person or 2 people depending on the level of your show.
Hmm.
He goes, and that's 10 people who have nothing better to do on that particular time of day
Oh,
than to
totally.
come and listen to you. He goes, now that either speaks volumes of you or volumes of them. But it's true. So, like I said, I mean, I'm in the process. Like we had, or I should say I had, because Brandon doesn't handle social media at all.
Hmm.
Um, but I had a surprising number of people who DM'd me on Twitter on the Mind of a Geek account, and they were like, "Hey, glad to see you're back. Subscribe to the new feed. I saw it's only the new episodes.
Hmm.
Is there any way you could add the past 100 something episodes to that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like I didn't think there was a craving for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been in the process. So originally this was like, all right, all new Mind of a Geek, episode 1,
Hmm.
whatever. We're just gonna start over because we changed up format a little bit. Like I'm not pushing for guests as much. Like
Hmm.
if like we'll have like a special guest every now and then where someone will come on and like we've got I think we've got I tried to double confirm with her on Twitch or on Twitter earlier. Are you familiar with Fist from the Lagging Balls podcast? It's a World of
Oh.
Warcraft podcast.
Hmm.
She's really cool, and she's got like 3 or 4 thousand followers on Twitter. But she does lagging balls with her and a friend of hers, and then she's a co-host with John Jagger on Convert to Raid, which is another WoW
Okay.
podcast. But so yeah, so out of nowhere, she agreed to come on next week. So like that's cool, right? And that's
Mhm.
gonna kind of be like old school Mind of a Geek, where it's it's about the guest and we talk about them and what they do. But a lot of
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
now it's like let's pick a subject for the week, and
Mhm.
then we'll pick someone that we know that would have good conversation on that
Yeah,
subject.
yeah.
Right. So, and that's why like you used to do the gaming podcast. So I'm like, well, of all the people I know who can have a conversation about loot crates, let's grab the other gamer that I know.
Yeah.
Um, and like last week, my buddy Brad was on, who had actually never been on the podcast before, but my buddy Brad was on because he is Borderlands is his heroine, and that was when we got the big gameplay reveal for Borderlands. So I'm like, well, I know we're going to talk about that this week, so let's have Spatula on because he will talk Borderlands. So, and that's and so instead of more of like just grabbing guests and being like, all right, let's do it, like I'm trying to more strategically pick it so it will be like a thorough show.
Yeah.
It's working out pretty well so far. Mr. Brandon, I assume you don't have headphones in yet. He is mic'd up. Are we getting a tour of the basement? I don't know if he can hear us or not. Should I do sign language?
Oh, that worked.
See, there we go. So what are you, just so I can like say things appropriately, what are you doing now? Because sometimes Geek is gone, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes Geek is completely gone. Now I'm focusing entirely on the second show that I had, which is now my main show, Rolling Misadventures,
Okay.
and it's a improv audio drama tabletop RPG podcast. So, like, you think your
Interesting.
Critical Roles or shit like that,
Right.
but all of our stories use the Fiasco system, and they're kept to 2 episodes each. So you're not worrying about like hundreds of hours of, oh, now I finally get that joke.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
That's cool. I I was chatting with a couple guys that I work with who are like, they're the get together once a week, play tabletop D&D.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, it would be so fun to do something like that, like where it's D&D and like you start and you're in that fantasy world where it's,
Mhm.
you got your typical classes, whatever, right? But then and I'm sure somebody has done this or something like it, but my thought is like you end up like falling through a portal or something, and then like you wind up in like Star Wars, and then you go through another portal and wind up in like the Power Rangers universe, and like just converge like all of these major fandoms that we love. And don't worry about it being quick. Like if you can get a handful of people that can stay consistent, make this something that lasts all summer or maybe lasts
Yeah,
all
yeah.
year, and just cover all the different fandoms. And as you go, and again, I guess you'd have to find a way to make it work within the rules. It's been so long since I played D&D, but um like as you discover these different worlds, like add different powers and classes to the
That would be
character's
a lot
potential
of work.
arsenal. It would, but I think if you could get the people that were passionate about it and
Mhm.
wanted to make it work, like doing something like that and adding that to like a podcast or adding that to Twitch would be
Mhm.
so much fun.
Yeah, and like what we did is, we didn't want to be one of the thousands of D&D podcasts out there. So
Right.
right off the bat, that's why we're not doing D&D. Um, but using the Fiasco system, it gives a chance that, with 2 episode long story arcs, we can have guests from other shows come on. So that's kind of the premise behind it, is that it's a group of podcasters taking a break from their normal stuff to come and create stories.
That sounds cool.
And so like we've hopped between, and I'm totally giving you the pitch, which I could do on the stream, but
Right.
uh
No, go
the
ahead.
we've hopped between doing like a Victorian era playhouse, we've done a superhero story arc, we've done a spaghetti western cowboy soap opera. Like it's been
Interesting.
all over the fucking place.
Nice. That so almost in that same idea,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
not all meshed together.
Yeah, no, they're all separate characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wait, did we lose Brandon? No, there he is. I just lost the cameras for a second. That was weird. Now that you can hear us, Brandon, what's up? Can you hear us? Hello? Brandon. Brandon. I need to go higher. Brandon. You.
Getting no audio from you.
Well, Derek can hear me, so it's
I
on
can't
your.
hear you.
Hey Siri, message Brandon.
If you can hear me, I'm probably going to have to restart.
Yeah, I know. It has to be on the same Wi Fi network. Shut up. Hey Siri, message Brandon. Oh my god. We're it's all on the same Wi Fi network. Don't be a cunt. All right. Tried to do it without having to pick up my phone. Where are we time wise? We got about 5 minutes. I changed my coil. This thing is burnt to fuck. Oh shit. Yeah, so are you I don't know what you're doing gaming wise. Are you getting Rage?
Probably. I need something new to play.
Yeah, I've been going back through. I've been playing all the HDR 4K remasters of Borderlands. And I've never played them before, so
I've played through all of the Borderlands except for I think I played half of the pre-sequel.
okay.
And so now I'm just kind of waiting on the new one. And I'm mainly waiting to see if the console one will have split screen again or not. Because my wife and I play, so it's either I'm gonna end up getting it on Xbox so we can do split screen, or I'm buying 2 copies on PC so we can play together.
Right. Well, Xbox would be cool because if you get it there, then I'll be able to run it with you when you're not running with her. Because I am not buying it on PC because fuck Epic Games.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
See, now it's funny, right? So there's a gamer chat room that I'm involved in on one of the chat apps. And I was like, yeah, Ghost Recon's coming. Like I'm gonna get it pre-ordered. I don't know if I'm gonna get it on PC, but I'm definitely gonna get it on Xbox. I'll probably get it on both. And he was like, "Oh, you're gonna get it on PC, huh?" And sent me an article because I've been bitching about Borderlands and Epic,
Mhm.
and sent me an article like, Ghost Recon Breakout, whatever it's gonna be called. I don't
Something like
remember.
that, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not going to be available on Steam. It's only going to be on. It's going to be exclusive to Epic and Uplay. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, right, but the key word there is and Uplay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind buying it on Uplay. I don't hate that launcher. I love Ubisoft. They've made some of my favorite games over the last 3 or 4 years. I don't mind supporting them. My issue with Borderlands isn't that it's not on Steam. It's that Take Two. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you
It's
hear
that
me?
take. Yeah, it's that Take Two, 2K, Rockstar, like that big collaboration of studios that are all one. They have enough first party titles to where they could have made their own launcher.
Yeah.
Borderlands didn't need to be exclusive to Epic. They could have taken the extra step and just made their own launcher. Like, I don't have a problem with Origin. I don't have a problem with Uplay or Battle.net. I have a problem with Epic trying to bully the PC community because they released that bullshit about, oh, well, we'll release exclusivity as long as Steam drops their percent. Fuck you. Steam's earned their right to have that percent. And I mean, if I'm a developer, I would rather be able to move more copies at a lower percent than less copies at a higher percent. Because yes, they might get
Yeah.
a bigger
Yeah.
cut from the Epic store, but they're going to move more units on Steam.
But on the other side of that, like I'm fine with Epic being out there with this because it's competition. Like, look at how
It's
many different sites like, Green Man Gaming and shit like that got bullied by Steam doing their Steam sales because they had the volume to do it.
right, yeah, and I mean, Green Man is where I always go, and even with Green Man, like people were bitching because now with Ubisoft games, you don't get a Steam code anymore. You don't even get a code anymore. Like you buy it and then you link your UPlay account
Mhm.
to Green Man, and it instantly unlocks when you buy it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a whole thing.
I don't think they should have the exclusives. Like I'm
No,
fine with
and that's the thing, because
competition, but
exclusives
it
aren't
shouldn't be exclusive.
competition. Like if you want to compete, you make a platform that competes. You don't make a subpar platform, and then because that's what Sony's done. The PS4 is not nearly as powerful as the Xbox, but they have the bigger sales numbers because they have the better exclusives. But again, those are first. Yes, we can hear you. Oh, were you tapping your mic?
No, I was tapping a can.
Oh, I thought you were like testing. Is this working? But like I don't have a problem with that because again, those are first party exclusives, right? So because those are Sony owned studios. That's cool. I don't expect you to release a game for Microsoft. But the thing that bugs me is that Epic bought the studio that makes Rocket League, and they've confirmed that it's going to be coming off Steam. So that shit's a little shady. Whatever, I'll just play it on Xbox. I play it with a controller anyway. But whatever. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, you've been on before. You know how the show works. So we'll just we'll talk about whatever. Probably more of what we're doing right now once it officially starts, and then we'll get into the loot box discussion, which I'm sure between us and whatever potential chat room will be quite the discussion. But Brandon, I don't know if you've looked, but I have started to re-add the old shows to the feed. I think I told you. Yeah,
you told me, but I've seen.
Okay, so this is officially now season 6. So we are on season 6, episode 5.
I see.
And I've relabeled the past 4 episodes to represent as much. And so far, seasons 1 and 2 are on the feed. I meant to get 3 and 4 today, but I got lost on Borderlands and biking with the kids.
Understandable.
But the rest of them will be up hopefully before the next episode. So everything will be on the feed, and we are officially back into seasons and whatever. Oh. You good?
Talking to me?
Yeah. You're just moving shit around. And,
well, the show hasn't started yet.
And well, no.
Unpack this shit every week.
Right. Well, leave it in one place. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if I had a place to live right now, I would.
That's true. Next week, you'll be podcasting from your car, stealing your neighbor's Wi-Fi.
You know, I seriously considered doing that tonight just so I could do what you're doing and be free from the bonds of this parental.
You mean so you could vape and podcast?
What?
So you could vape and podcast?
Yeah, basically. I had thought about doing it from your kitchen, but then I didn't know if Catherine was home or the kids were asleep.
Kids are sleeping. Yeah, no, she works tonight. But, I mean, hell, you could just podcast from the living room.
I could podcast from behind you in that room right there.
I don't know if
I don't think it would carry over.
No.
It's far enough out.
No, just back to back.
Yeah,
exactly. But I'm wondering if the mics would pick up.
Well, that's what I mean. If we did it facing away from each other, and then there's a good 12 feet between us and a door.
Yeah.
It would be you that would be the louder one, so maybe you, but...
Yeah, my voice carries.
These mics are directional, so maybe not.
Yeah, if we angled them correctly.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's no big deal.
Right.
I kind of like having the traveling setup. It's easy. It's always a matter of changing settings and then restarting over and over.
That's why I was going to get an iMac or a MacBook if I didn't get fucked over on my taxes.
Yep. Well, I'm using a MacBook right now. It's just
I know.
I use it for other things throughout the week, so. Yeah.
But either way, all right. We will officially start this thing. In 3, 2, 1.
The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Ink Geek Studios.
What is going on?
It wouldn't be podcasting without problems.
Nope. It's because I selected the wrong one. It's on me.
That's why I don't do it live.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right. All the background noise went away, so I was making sure that my mic didn't cut out. All right. Let's try this one more time. In 3, 2, 1.
The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mind of a Geek. I am your host, Nate, and I am joined, as always, by Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. We are on, now we're setting records at this point. We're on 5 weeks in a row.
And oh, how fast they've gone by. Can you believe it?
I know, right? It's been almost a month.
Saturday to Saturday. It's amazing.
It's been almost a month and a half since we started this again. It's good to be back. It's good to have live chat rooms that come back. It's good to have guests that want to come back. And we have one of those guests tonight. Now, I haven't gotten up to the point in uploading the old episodes where I know what season you were on, but I know you were on before. And now that I've asked you what the name of the new show is, I don't remember it. So, Derek from a podcast.
And that's good podcasting right there.
That is right. Derek, formerly of the Sometimes Geek podcast and now of a role-playing podcast that he does in 2 episodes. See, I remember all that shit. I don't remember the name of it.
That's fine. I've done the pitch so many times at this point. It's really easy off the top of my head. I've gotten to that point of the show.
Well, that works. At least you remember the name of your show.
I should hope so. It'd be a bigger cluster if I didn't. But I am the host and the producer of Rolling Misadventures. It is tabletop improv audio drama using the Fiasco game system as a background, where basically a bunch of podcasters come together, create these short 2-episode story arcs, and we produce it like an audio drama. So you have your backing music, your sound effects, the whole nine, cutting out a lot of the dice mechanics, stuff like that.
Cool. Man, you do have that pitch down. I heard like the same thing 45 seconds ago.
That sounds like an amazing show.
But that's good. Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of fun, and it's good that you have it down, because I tell you, every time I try and explain this show, it's like it's a different paragraph every time.
I keep telling him to record it, and he doesn't. He loves to just drone on about it.
I do.
Because when we get to an hour, it's really an hour and a half, because then it's, all right, we got to wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up. So I'm about to wrap it up. You know where you can find me. You know where you can find Brandon right here.
Well, I think
why don't I just record you doing it?
The last episode I was on, I think we did about an hour and a half, and then I hung out and chatted with him for like another hour and a half after that.
Oh yeah, that happens. Yeah, I don't think Corey Scott has ever done an episode with me.
But for me, I mean, I'm more of an introvert, and I get tired. Being social tires me out. So after an hour, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go sit in a dark room. It's great to have Nate there, because he can just do his thing and I can kind of fade away.
I'm a conversationalist. What can I say? It's why I do this.
You just like to hear yourself talk.
Actually, I hate listening to myself talk. This is the worst part of going over old episodes. I'm like, fuck, do I sound like that? It's like torture on people. Jesus.
I must be used to it. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But anyway, so for those of you that are listening live, you see that we already have a title for this week's episode. So obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, there's always a title. But so it is. I would buy that loot box. I'd buy a loot box for $1. So a little play off of the RoboCop thing of I'd buy that for $1. So that's going to kind of be our big discussion. So I wanted to mention it at first. We'll kind of get into it a little bit more towards a little bit later in the show. But for anyone that is in the live chat room, then you can certainly, if you have any comments or anything to say about loot boxes and microtransactions in video games, drop it in the chat and we'll definitely refer back to it when we get to that. But before we dive into that shitstorm of a conversation, we'll throw it over to Derek. Derek, how has your week been? What have you been up to this week? Anything of note? Anything interesting?
Lots of editing. That's the fun part about doing a show that's more than me just talking about shit that's happening in video games.
Right.
Aside from that, I've been playing a bit of Sekiro.
Nice.
And actually went back and just this morning started playing Fallout 76 again.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw Rev say that he was diving back into it because I guess they've added a shitload since, like, especially since I last played with you guys, because I fell out of it early.
Yeah, I think that's about the last time I played it too. So
okay,
what, a good month after release, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was pre-New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a hot minute since we've played that. So yeah, I was talking to him on Twitter and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll dive back in. And then I just got the Borderlands bug and then the potential of Rage on Tuesday. And
is it that soon? See, that's the problem with not doing a gaming podcast anymore, is I forget all of the release dates now.
Well, see, it's interesting. So
it's like, oh shit, this is out. So
I had a back and forth actually with a streamer who on Twitter, I believe, goes by Brandykins, I think. So Rage 2 actually gave a journalist shit. So I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but I bet this guy won't do a backflip. What? I have no idea. Somebody in the chat room. So some journalist put out an article, I believe it was on Forbes, saying like, hey, Rage 2 comes out Tuesday. But if you didn't know that, we won't blame you, because I guess it was giving Bethesda shit for not promoting the game well, right? Which I don't get it. I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen it on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen Rage everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So this guy tweeted this article out and said, like, if you didn't know it was coming out, then it's not your fault. So the official verified Rage account on Twitter replied him and said, and you are? So there was this big, hubbub about like them giving attitude to a journalist. And I'm like, well, why? It's funny, whatever. And like Wendy's does that shit all the time.
I was just going to say that. How is that any different?
Right.
Trolling is trolling. What's the problem?
And the thing is
it's more media for them.
It's a sequel. It's not like it's a new IP. It's 3 days before release. So my assumption is anyone that wants it enough to get it, already has it pre-ordered. And then the ones that either don't care, so it doesn't matter, or they're those people that will wait till reviews for like a week. So we're not at like a prime advertising time right now. So it's not that big of a deal. And then they were giving Rage shit for being feisty, and it's like, well, Bethesda has been through a lot. They released Fallout 76 to great hatred. When really it wasn't a bad game. Like it was missing some features. It was a little buggy, but I mean, I got more enjoyment out of Fallout 76 than I got out of Fallout 4. I didn't love 4. I
didn't love 4 either, but at least it worked.
Yeah, but 76, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit more forgiving. Like, I accept the fact that on launch day, a game isn't going to be 100%. We don't need that anymore. We want our games. And if they're a little buggy, it's okay. I will take bugs over lack of content. But because as long as they're not game breaking bugs.
But at least now you live in a world of patches, so you're going to be okay eventually.
And there's certain things that that was what Blizzard always ran into with the new World of Warcraft expansion pack, right? And there was always server issues on launch day. And it's like, well, right, because there's no way to simulate 8 million people logging in at the same time. Like, you just have to hope for the best and flip the switch.
Yeah, but like prime example with Fallout 76, I haven't played it in 4 months, and I decided to boot it up today. No patches. It had already patched because the Xbox. And I was like, okay, cool. I load it up, go to create a character. As soon as I leave that vault, it froze.
Now, was that the Xbox or was that Fallout?
I'm assuming it's Fallout because I couldn't even get it to launch the first 3 times I clicked on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What can we really expect from all these games, right? Not every game can be a winner. What is that George Carlin said about passive eugenics and the kid who eats too many paint chips doesn't grow up to have kids of his own?
Oh, yeah.
Every game that comes out can't They can't all be great. Every now and then, you're gonna have to just let a game go by the wayside. So, like Rage, right? If you were talking about people having it pre-ordered, maybe, but is there a big enough fan base for that game where it's gonna be, oh, this is a blockbuster summer game, damn? Or
I don't
is
know
it just another game?
I don't know if there's a big enough fan base for Rage, but considering it is a collaboration of Bethesda and id Software, both of them
right there would make me expect that it's going to be at least sort of great.
I mean,
but then again,
the first one,
76.
The first one was a pile of shit and still sold well.
Right.
So it's because it has, I don't know, they're like heroin addicts.
Well, I should clarify. When I say it's going to be great, I mean it's got the name of Bethesda behind it. Like Fallout 76, right? You have the history of Fallout plus that studio. It's going to sell based on that alone, no?
I would have agreed with you before Fallout 76.
Yeah, kind of like Blizzard now, where Blizzard has burned so many people recently.
Right. Yeah, like yeah, no, I mean that's a fair comparison. I don't know, only because as much as I hate Battle for Azeroth with a passion right now, I will tell you right now that nothing is going to stop me from buying the next expansion pack the day they announce it. Like, I'll be ready.
Despite you being out of WoW. Here's the thing, though. For me, with WoW, I played Battle for Azeroth. I still fucking love it. I think it's a great expansion. You know why? Because I didn't play it to death.
And not only did you not play it,
that's not a knock on you. That's just me saying like I'm a fair weather fan, so I never got deep enough into it to really get burnt out or notice any of the issues.
Right. No, and I definitely have that issue. I mean, that's what happened with myself and a bunch of us with Division 2. Is like, if you were to ask me one thing about Division 2, my comment is not enough content, not fast enough.
What's funny about that is me soloing that game. That game in fun factor goes up and up, or up and up, up and up and up the more I play it.
Right.
Because I play it here and there, and it's great.
And I agree with you completely. So, but my issue is, and I'm sure other people use it, but I kind of get the term from Spatula where we know life it. And because I
like that. That's nice.
I had over 100 hours in Division 2 within the first 3 weeks.
Right. And I've had that game since launch, and I have like maybe 12.
But why? But why am I complaining about a game that gave me 100 hours of fun gameplay?
Exactly, and that was my roundabout way to
saying that there's not enough content. I got 100 hours of content for $120.
Bro, you need to go outside.
No, I don't. I need other games to play. But yeah, so that's the problem too, right? Is because a lot of us will do that. We'll binge these games. Like even with Anthem, right? Like that's the argument with Anthem. Anthem, it's like I didn't pay a dime for Anthem. It was part of Origin Premiere. And then I'm still going to say, well, what was Anthem's number one problem? Not enough content. I got 75 hours out of Anthem. Even
Anthem
if I
was
paid...
a lot of fun, but that slowdown when you'd have to go back to the Forge and shit.
Yeah, there were some issues.
I'm not going to walk around and talk to these idiot fucking NPCs.
And and the fact that you had to go back there to switch gear, like I get why they did that and how it made sense on paper. Like you have this giant mech, so yeah, it'd be no different than playing like Mech Warrior. And I never played Mech Warrior, but there was a if you don't remember, Derek might remember, there was an old PlayStation game. Was it Front Mission? Was that the mech one?
Front Mission, I think.
Okay.
Was either that or Armored Core?
No, it wasn't. Armored Core was another one, but Front Mission is the one I was thinking of.
I think Front Mission's the one you're thinking of.
Front Mission, it was kind of like X4. It was kind of like XCOM, but it was it's kind of like Fallout, but it was with mechs. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't change your loadout mid-battle because you're piloting a fucking mech. I can't go change the weapon on a mech in the middle of battle. That's not how it works. So it makes sense that the javelins in Anthem can't be customized mid-battle because you have to be in the Forge to do that. For lore purposes, that makes sense. For a looter shooter, it doesn't work.
Titanfall 2 in that regard, and it matches with lore. Rather than changing your loadout necessarily, you just pick up a new gun.
Right, because you're a mech and you're holding the gun.
Exactly.
So
you're not actually changing the pieces of the mech per se.
As the human could, the mech will throw the weapon on the ground and pick up a new one. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, so that makes sense. No, that's cool. Hey, so I know it's a little old now. Well, not old, but I mean, it's over a month at least. Sekiro, how are you liking that?
I really enjoy it up until like I got up to the last boss fight and then realized that I fucked myself for the good ending, and so that kind of soured it for me. But in the same breath, like the ramp up and the learning of the bosses isn't the dumb like, oh, you have to beat it this one way of just block dodge roll. Like there are different strategies for different fights. And up until, like I said, the last boss where it's just ridiculous and I probably just need to grind out a bunch of skill points and stuff like that, I had an absolute blast with it.
I was asking because it's good that you're having fun with it. I haven't tried it. The aesthetic didn't grab me at all. I don't do the whole Asian, like, I don't know, you're not supposed to say Oriental anymore, right? Like the whatever,
like the feudal Japan.
Yeah, like that doesn't do anything for me. So I ended up passing on it.
Weird that it bothers you and I that like that animation style. Like it doesn't. I'm not a fan myself.
The thing is, so here's the thing: is the reason that I have an issue with that is the same reason that I have an issue with anime. And that may sound weird, but because the fan bases that get behind that style are so fucking loud about it, like, I don't even necessarily give it a fair chance. I'm like, nope, your fans are annoying. I'm not going to bother. Like anything that has to do with Gundams or anything like that, I'm like, nope, your fan base is annoying as shit. Leave me alone.
But you'll turn around and play Anthem, which are basically Gundams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, again, like my buddy Tony, who's been on the show, and everybody knows him, and he's huge into Mech Warrior, and I don't like mechs. I think mechs are dumb. It's why I never liked Titanfall.
I love mechs. Mechs are awesome.
So he's like, and he said the same thing. He's like, oh, well, you don't like mechs, but you'll play Anthem. I'm like, because they're not mechs, they're exosuits. Totally different ballgame.
Okay, so you just want to go back and watch like the Fox Kids Exo Squad cartoon.
Exo Squad,
there
yes.
You go.
Neo Sapiens, baby.
Now you know what mechs. Show. You know what mechs I can get behind is there was a movie, and I don't remember the name of it. I swear.
Robo-Jokes.
Thank you. from the 80s.
Yeah, I have that movie.
Dude,
we should watch that shit.
Dude, if we were still doing movie busters, totally. I mean, just in general, anyway, for whatever. But no, so it was Robo-Jocks. I got to see if that's.
I think it was Robot-Jocks, but
Robot-Jocks, and that was the one where like they had. It was basically like Pacific Rim, but they were in these giant fucking mechs, right?
Yeah, giant.
And, like one of the guys was like an asshole, and like it was like really cheesy effects, and yeah, I remember fucking. Throwback. I remember being really, really little, and my mom rented that for me over when Shaw's used to. Now, only you and other Mainers will get this, but when Shaw's used to be over by, I think it was Pine Tree Shaw's, whatever it was, and no, it was Pine Tree Shop and Save. Before that, Shop and Save got moved over to further in Westbrook, and we went over there.
Yeah.
And this was back when. Remember when grocery stores used to rent out movies?
Yeah.
And sorry, my West Coast just made me check out of that entire sentence.
But yeah, we rented Robot-Jocks. I went to McDonald's, got a Happy Meal, and I went and watched mechs beat each other up.
Now, what would have been great is if this was the point when the Happy Meal had transforming fast food.
Oh yeah, like back when they were like McDonald's themed toys.
Yeah, the Happy Meals had transforming like chicken nuggets and shit. Back when it was styrofoam cases, so everything looked like a styrofoam case, but then it would turn into a robot.
Right. Oh, yeah. God forbid you have that anymore. Can't do that. But yeah, no.
That's how you know you're old. Like, you had styrofoam containers for your fast food.
Back in my day, we had lead in our paint.
Yeah, that too.
But no, real quick touch back to Sekiro, whatever it is, really quick. No,
how do you fucking spell that? I want to look that up.
Sekiro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
But see, I was never a big Dark Souls guy. Admittedly, not that there's a problem with the games because I wasn't any good at them, and I didn't find them all that entertaining. But I loved Bloodborne, and that was another reason why Sekiro started as a thorn in my side, because when they released the teaser way back in the day, I was hoping for Bloodborne 2 and didn't get it. And now they've almost said, I think they've confirmed we're not getting a Bloodborne 2. And I loved Bloodborne. Like that old Victorian era setting, give me that all day.
Is this game something like For Honor?
No, it's Dark Souls.
No.
It's Dark Souls. It's From Software. It's the same development crew. It's Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
No shit.
It's just in that setting.
No shit.
And
that's cool.
It's a lot faster paced from what I hear.
Yeah.
It's not that slow. Like you're not slow walking to every boss like you are in Dark Souls.
Well, and also you have like a grappling hook. Like you could basically Spider-Man climb up walls and whatnot. So like if you get overloaded in a fight, no, just single player. But if you get like,
I actually might play that. That looks actually pretty good.
Yeah, like if you get a shitty pull and you're pulling like 3 or 4 enemies and you're just getting mobbed, you can actually get away from the fights and regen and then go back to it. It's not just instant death.
Right. But it's the same deal. Like you don't cash in your experience till you get to a certain point. If you die twice, you lose it all.
Yep.
Yeah. So same unforgiving gameplay. And again, I liked that in Bloodborne, like collecting like the souls and the blood and stuff like that. Like that was fun. Like I liked the combat style of Bloodborne, like, you know, the parrying and the blocking. Like I thought that was the only From Software game that I've ever gotten, not only just got by like the first couple of bosses, but beat the whole game as well as like the hidden moon boss. And then I even did some of like the endless dungeons, like in the end game content for a little while. Like I really loved Bloodborne. If they would put out like a 4K HDR PS4 Pro upgrade patch for it, like I would totally revisit it in 4K. Like that would be a lot of fun. Cause I don't believe there is. I think it's just, it might be upscaled, but I don't think it's
I think it was upscaled.
Yeah. I don't know if it's got HDR. Maybe I can go check. Cause that would be fun to play. I mean, that'd be a huge time killer.
Well, so like playing Sekiro, I hadn't played Bloodborne. Like I played Demon Souls and all 3 Dark Souls up to a point where I would just get frustrated with them, but I would still play them. But now that I've played Sekiro, I actually want to go back and play Bloodborne just because.
You can probably get it for sale pretty cheap these days.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how much I enjoyed Sekiro. Like it actually makes me want to go back and check out the other one.
Nice. That's cool. Bloodborne, I would think, is probably the easier transition because Bloodborne was their first step into making the combat a little bit faster. Which from people who I talk to that are huge DS fans, that was why I preferred Bloodborne, because the combat was faster, because the Dark Souls games they're a little bit more traditional. They're slower. Okay. They don't. Yeah. So, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Brandon, have you done anything of note other than work your life away this week? I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yeah, I am. I hit that button. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I said, I mountain bike, but we're not here to talk about that.
Well, I mean, we can, because we haven't done many podcasts since you got your new bike. So
that's true. But that's not important. A little bit. What else have I done? I played a little Call of Duty World War II. I started the campaign, because that's where I'm at with video games, is starting shitty ones way later. But the campaign I thought was decent. It plays like Call of Duty.
Right.
It's a good time killer.
Isn't World War II, is that the one that has Kit Harington in it, or was that?
It has Josh Duhamel.
No, maybe Kit was in the one before. I know Harrington's in one of them.
I think that he's in Advanced Warfare, but don't quote me on that.
Because I know Spacey was in Infinite Warfare. Yeah. Which I guess we're not allowed to talk about anymore. I think Harrington's in
Advanced, but I couldn't tell you without looking it up, and I'm not going to look it up. So other than that, I'm waiting for Breakpoint now that's been announced.
That's
super
what
pumped
it's
for
called.
that.
I was surprised that wasn't where you went first. Did you finish the DLC that got released?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's exciting. I'm really happy that they're sticking.
Did you read the background information on it about the island and everything?
I have not. I was thinking about doing another playthrough in Wildlands on Xbox, because that's where I never played it. So I thought it'd be fun to go through again. And then I was going to hit that DLC. And then other than the DLC, they've given us kind of go into Breakpoint blind.
Yeah. So Breakpoint, your character is persistent for all things. So multiplayer, single player, and you mold it as you go. Not only is it aesthetics, but there's classes, There's actually going to be raids in this game, which is amazing. And then it takes place on an island called Aurora, which is basically owned by the Skell Corporation, which is a Fortune 500 technology company. But then there are like ex-ghosts there that you're going up against for whatever reason. But I'm more excited about the gameplay. You have your ghost, but now when you get injured, it's persistent and you have to like leave battle. So if you get shot or whatever over time, like say you get shot in the arm, now your arm is injured. And if one of your partners goes down, instead of reviving him in the gunfight, you can actually pick him up and carry him out of battle. So it's a little more realistic that way. Now, all that being said, I hope it doesn't suck because they sell a really good game, but who knows? If that is even your thing, you know, I like those Tom Clancy games.
See, I'm not huge on the Tom Clancy games, but just the fact that they're adding more realism to it, I would be interested in at least checking it out.
I'm interested in the idea of raids. I think that's pretty cool. We'll see where they take that for that iteration of a game. But
so, like, what sort of squad sizes are they talking about for raids?
That I don't know. They haven't said. But if it's anything like the previous game, it's a 4-man squad. Which I don't know how well that works. Nate, do you have an earbud in? You do.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
so raids. They're gonna have raids in this next game. Did you see anything about squad size?
No, but if they're doing anything similar to that of Division, which is also a Tom Clancy game, obviously, they're adding raids. It was supposed to fucking be there last month, but anyway, and they're going to be 8-man, and that game was traditionally 4-man squads. So whether they go 8 or whether they go 6, I don't know, but that's kind of cool that they're adding that element because, I don't know how long it's been known. I recently, like in doing research up to the release of Division 2, was reading that Wildlands, Division, and Siege all take place in the same Clancyverse. So just at different times.
Right.
So the fact that they are going a 4-man route, and then, I mean, they went that way, but there's no AI this time, right? Like, it's all players. Like, you're either solo or with other players, right? Did I read that correctly?
That's the way it looks. I doubt it, though. I'm sure they'll have a 4-man squad again because they talk about downing other players. You do have, it's like Division 2 or Division where you can hop in and out at any time.
Right.
You got some problems there? What's going on?
No, little guy's just still awake. What's up, buddy?
In classic little kid speech.
Okay.
Again, all of us completely quieted down for it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I was listening intently, trying to figure it out. All right, just mentally delete all the ums and I'll put it together.
Right.
Welcome to my podcast.
Right. Yeah. No, I was gonna. I plan on having Lizzie on at some point. Little man's a little shy. Do you want to come say hi? No? Okay. I'll be up in a little bit. He's like, no, I don't. Yeah. So that would be exciting. I guess they would go 8-man. But no, see, it's interesting, Derek, that you had made the comment about with them going more realistic, because that was one of the largest complaints that I saw about Wildlands, because this was a new format for Ghost Recon. Because Ghost Recon prior to Wildlands was you were a ghost. You were that ghost sniper, which you still kind of are in that same military company.
But now it's kind of rebranded as the ghosts are the elite of the elite. Whether they be snipers or not, they're just highly trained soldiers.
Right. So they seem to be adding more realism going from Wildlands to Breakpoint, which is awesome. But I mean, the original Ghost Recon games were practically like simulation shooter games. So they definitely broke away from that a little bit. For me personally, I like that. I don't like simulation shooters. It's why I haven't played like Escape from Tarkov.
I think that's why Wildlands is my favorite, though, because
it's fun.
It's military GTA. I mean, you're pretty lenient with what's going on.
Definitely. And it's an open world game done by Ubisoft. And I know there are people out there who are in love almost in an unhealthy way with Witcher 3. But I mean, I was never a big fan. To me, my home for open world games is Ubisoft, because Ubisoft seems to always nail it. Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey were both phenomenal. I mean, yes, it's first person, but the Far Cry games, and where they've kind of been branching more and more into the open world genre since Far Cry 3, those are all spot on. I don't care what anybody says about 5. I loved 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like Steep is like an open world snowboarding game, so that seems to be the path they take, and they can be a little bit repetitious if you don't love them. But if
like I enjoy Ubisoft open world games as much as any fan of video games does. My problem is when most of those games I will play solo. So like the Assassin's Creeds and Far Cry, even Far Cry I played, Far Cry 5 I played mostly solo. Like I did a little bit of the campaign with a friend of mine.
Have you tried New Dawn yet?
No, I haven't.
No.
Which I might, because 5 is the only Far Cry I actually finished through, like all the side missions and everything. So I probably should.
Do you feel with the majority of I don't say the loud majority of the community where they didn't like the ending because there wasn't
the ending.
See, me too. I liked
it was so good.
I liked that there wasn't like a yay you win option. Like, brief spoilers, but like your options were either you nuke everybody or you kill your friends. Like those were your options. And I loved the father as a character, and actually he becomes an ally in New Dawn.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he basically, because it's like 17 years later. And they went with the story of the nukes went off. So like that's the canon story. And he basically is like, I fucked up. I did not mean to lead you all to this. Like that's kind of his whole thing. So no, I'm looking forward to New Dawn. It's funny how, not to derail your thought, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can certainly go on with Ubisoft, but with just look on New Dawn for a second, everyone is going that Borderlands route. Everything's bright and colorful. Look at New Dawn. Look at Rage 2, which is essentially Borderlands without like your hundreds of thousands of weapons. So it's interesting how we're getting into a very bright and vivid, like in with some of these games, like they're definitely going for that style, and we have that in some games. But I mean, specifically
Gears
those 3
of War
shooters
and the change that's gone through over its iterations.
Right.
I mean, considering Gears 3, Gears 4, and what's gonna be Gears 5, it has gotten so much brighter from the original Gears, which was a horror game essentially.
Well, it's playing into the HDR because you want those bright colors to pop. So that would be the aesthetic to go with.
That's a good point. But now's a good time to continue your thought while Nate's not here to derail you.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Ubisoft open world games, playing them solo, for the most part, it feels too scripted to be an open world. Like it doesn't feel that this is a living, breathing setting. As opposed to like recently going back and trying to play Red Dead Redemption 2. There is a mission where you save a guy who basically he fucks up his arm. It gets caught in like the horse bridle or something like that. I don't know all the lingo. But basically you bring him to a hospital and the doctor there says, okay, yeah, we're going to have to amputate. And the mission ends and you can walk away. But I'm like, wait a minute, you gave me the control back. This isn't just a cutscene. So I stood there and watched the doctor saw his arm off and throw it in a fucking trash can.
Now that is a living, breathing world right there.
Like I could have walked away from it, not watched any of it, and it still would have happened. Now, yes, doing something like that with something that's multiplayer is an insane endeavor that we are, probably a decade or so away from. But I would love to see Ubisoft do more stuff like that.
It would definitely make multiplayer more alluring. I do like multiplayer, but I don't know. I enjoy a good solo game, and I don't necessarily go out of my way for multiplayer at any point. I like it, but I'm fine with just playing alone, especially with someone like me who has limited time to game. And, I don't know, having grown up on the systems I grew up on, pre-multiplayer, I'm used to a game that's solo, if not split screen, but fuck split screen.
Yeah, fuck split screen.
I will always argue in the favor of split screen because I have a wife who also plays video games. So
buy
being
a
able to sit
console.
next to each other on the couch,
buy a second Xbox and do game share.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is when
no, because then we would fight over who gets the 4K TV.
Yeah.
So buy another 4K
TV. I just say nah.
Well, no, but realistically though, like think about it. If you could get an Xbox One X on sale and you get a 4K TV on sale, and if you got them on good sales, it would probably cost about what an Xbox One X cost on release.
Usually I would not be on your side for this kind of thing, Nate, but yeah, if I'm going to have the option of split screen or that, I'm not going to play split
like
screen.
My kids aren't super big into gaming, right? Like they'll game every once in a while. They'll game on their iPads more than anything, right? Mm-hmm. But if my daughter who's 8 or my son who's 5, if they were really into console gamings, they'd have their own consoles and their own TVs in their rooms because they're not sharing dads. And I am not doing split screen. Like, yeah, we'll play Mario Kart, but I'm going to buy a second Switch. That way you can play handheld and I'll play on the TV. But, yeah, no, I think we talked about this briefly last week, but that's kind of what streaming has done for me is it's given me the social element that I love about playing multiplayer. But even with a small chat room, it's allowed me to engage in that socialization that I like so much while still enjoying a single player game. Again, I
think it's perfect for you streaming. That's what you've needed the whole time. That's what fills your void.
But I wasn't always like, I don't want to say desperate, but it wasn't always my niche because like you go back in the day, again, like you said, pre-multiplayer, right? Like I dumped hundreds of hours into the original Resident Evil going for that S ending. Same with Resident Evil 2. I have probably close to over 200 hours in Final Fantasy VII going for the Golden Chocobo and Knights of the Round and then maxing out all my materials. And, killing Emerald and Ruby weapons, shit like that. So, like, I definitely did that. I think the last game that was single player that I got over triple digits in was probably Oblivion. And because that predated like the multiplayer craze a little bit. Like Xbox Live was a thing, but it wasn't what it is today.
But also go back to the fact that you were younger, so you're stuck with the game for longer. You're not able to get as many games. There's not as many AAA major releases coming out. So when you factor in all of that, yeah, of course you're going to spend. Like I spent, God, back on the Nintendo 64, it was WWE No Mercy. I spent at least 200 hours in that game because I got a Game Shark and I think we just code in it and all this other stuff because I had nothing else to play.
I think we just passed the anniversary for that. Yeah, we just passed the anniversary for that. I saw something on Twitter. I think it was like the anniversary of the release of arguably one of the best wrestling games of all time. No, that game was, man, so much fun. And it's funny actually because Brandon, you and I were just chatting the other night when you were over here about like how it's so cool that in modern wrestling games now, all the shit we tried to do in like No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 and WCW, NWO, whatever the case may be, you'd always try and set up all these cool moves. And now they're just like, oh my God moments and they're quick time events. And
I would hope so, considering the people making those games probably grew up playing what we played.
Right. And they're like, well, fuck, we wanted to do this in No Mercy, but it was so hard to like make sure the guy stayed on the table and do this and do that. And now,
oh my God, he fell through the table. What the fuck?
Right. But I would love to, I mean, it's still THQ and I believe it's still Hughes, but.
Well, I think it was also Axis, which
well, there was Acclaim.
Yeah,
and Acclaim made the Attitude games. So what it was Acclaim made the games prior to, because THQ/Ukes because they made the Fire Pro Wrestling games.
Yeah.
And
I have that game. That game's fun too.
They made those in Japan. And then the Americanized version of those had the American wrestling licenses on them. And they were the same games. But so for the first two games, it was WCW NWO World Tour, I think. And World Tour was the second one. And then
because Revenge.
Oh, maybe it was World Tour then Revenge. Anyway, and then there was so they made 2 WCW games and then 2 WWE games. When they made the 2 WCW games, it was Acclaim that had the WWF license. So that's when we got like Attitude. Yeah, and that was the game
Arcade Fighters.
Yeah, that was the game that I remember being infamously known for. When the wrestler was laying down, he was twice as long as he was when he was standing up.
But I played the shit out of Attitude.
Attitude was so good.
After Warzone, when Attitude came out, I played that game so much.
Attitude was the first one, I believe, and it was a feature that after Attitude we didn't see again for a while, maybe even until 2K picked it up, where we got to do custom arenas and custom pay-per-views.
Yeah, it took forever to get that back. When you got, what was the next one? SmackDown?
It was, there was like SmackDown. It was SmackDown. Then there was like SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth, SmackDown. Then there was Here Comes the Pain, which was the one that had Lesnar on the cover.
To go from what you had in Attitude, where you had pretty good customization, you could change movesets and shit, a lot of stuff, to what SmackDown was, where it was more arcadey, faster paced, but the creative character was basically mixing and matching body parts.
Right.
God, I was so let down.
No, and we were I think young enough to not look at it how we would look at it today and acknowledge that it was a different developer.
No,
right? Like,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, like these days we have that know-how of the industry.
I think at 13, 14, it's just like, I know what Acclaim is, right? But it's a video game, and that's as far as you take it. You don't delve into it any further than that.
And I think it was Acclaim up to that point. Like I think if you go back and look at the old like the King of the Ring game, and I think there was a Royal Rumble game, and like all the Genesis games, and I believe that those were all Acclaim. I think Acclaim had that license up until THQ took it.
Right.
But yeah, it's, how did we get into wrestling games? I'm so lost on where were we?
Yeah, you have a little carryover from
way too many hours on games. That's what it was.
Hours on games.
What's funny about that with those older systems is that, we were definitely limited on games, as you said. I think for the entire life of the SNES, I only had 2 games. The one that came with it, Super Mario World, and then fucking Super Ghosts and Goblins or whatever that was. And that's it. And other than that, Front Row Video was my friend.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go way back, old school, like SNES, I mean, Final Fantasy 2, which was...
I didn't have that. I had Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana was good. It's okay. You didn't play Mystic Quest, at least.
The first Final Fantasy I actually played.
Oh, I'm sorry. Such a
but that goes back to the era of a friend has a game I haven't played, I'm gonna play it.
Right, exactly. The only Final Fantasy game worse than Mystic Quest was that really shitty like candle lantern one they released on GameCube. It was horrible.
It was Crystal like Chronicles.
Was it Crystal Chronicles? The one where you had to
like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was one where you were like the dungeons were dark and you had to like carry lanterns to light. Was it? Yeah, that was a piece of garbage. I mean, those two are worse than 13, which is saying a lot. Did you guys see the trailer for 7? I'm so excited.
I wasn't a PlayStation kid when 7 came out, so I didn't play it. Like, to this day, I think I've put maybe 4 hours into 7.
Pick it up on the Switch.
I'm probably going to, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I need to give it a fair shake.
It's great playing those old school games on the Switch because unlike if I were to pick it up on my Xbox and play it on a 50-inch TV, playing it on the Switch, having that much smaller screen gives it the it forgives the pixel graphics a little bit more.
Like, I'm fine with the pixel graphics on a bigger screen. It doesn't matter to me because, I would play on a 27-inch CRT sitting, 2-3 feet away from it.
Yeah. I remember, was it 7? It was 7 when DualShocks got introduced, right? Like 7 was out when DualShocks got introduced, right? For PS1, or was that 8?
It might have been 8 because I know like
I think it was 8 because I have vivid memories of Raul playing 7 pre DualShock.
Okay,
yeah, that's not a game I ever played, but I definitely sat there while Raul played it endlessly.
Right. Yeah, I remember my buddy Scott Harris. You remember Scott Harris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was prior to me driving, and I found out that there was DualShock support in 8, and he gave me a ride to the mall in a snowstorm to pick up a DualShock controller so I could finish Final Fantasy 8 with the vibrating controller. Straight up killer, yeah. We know him. We know that, right? That's not.
That's Steve.
Is it Steve? Man, it's a good thing he came in after I talked shit about Dark Souls. He was saying he's got it on the Switch. He's not very far yet. That doesn't surprise me. He's like, don't forget the sweet analog toggle buttons. Oh God,
I forgot about that. Yeah, that is true.
I am excited to see what they do with controllers for the next generation, because
nothing would be basically the same, won't it?
Yeah.
Well,
haven't they found what they deem to be the perfect formula in the 360 controller?
If you want to be that pessimistic,
the Xbox One controller is the same. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. Keep cutting me off because I keep trying to cut you off. Who's going to win the battle?
It's a lot easier to do this way. When I'm in the room, I just let you talk because I stopped so you could talk. You didn't say anything. I was trying to head off the cutoff, but then you didn't talk.
Right. But the reason I ask is because we are getting to a point now where we are getting closer to the element of PC gaming with console gaming. Like Razer just released the first keyboard mouse set for the Xbox, which is really cool as somebody who is avidly a PC gamer, but I've kind of drifted back towards console a little bit lately just because it's easier to stream. To see keyboard and mouse, especially from like Razer, like the who's who of keyboard and mouse, to see them put stuff out on Xbox is really cool. But what I was getting at was now with companies like Scuff, companies like Astro getting into the custom controller mix, Microsoft having their own thing with their Elite controller, I'm wondering if we are going to get any type of modulation in the entry-level controllers going into the next generation. Maybe not as far as we see, but like I'm waiting for the point that like the behind the controller triggers just become commonplace. Like you don't have to buy a $200 controller to get those anymore. I was really looking at the Astro controller for the PlayStation 4 because the Scuff controller sucked. And
did you buy the Scuff controller?
I did, and took it back like 2 days later.
I didn't know you actually bought one.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Why?
The only problem with the Astro controller, from what I've read, is there's no rubber grips. It's a plastic.
What was wrong with the Scuff controller?
The buttons, there was a slight input lag. I didn't love the way it felt in my hands, and then as I was reading more and more about it, a lot of people were complaining about them falling apart within a month or two. So I figured I would get my $200 back while it was still able to be returned. But the big thing about the Astro controller that really has me interested, that it's one of the only controllers of its kind that you can do it with. The joystick and the D-pad are swappable on the left. So with the Microsoft Elite controller, it comes with, I think, 3 different D-pads, and you can pop them off, and you can either have like a flat plate, or you can just have the 4 like classic like NES, like the plus sign, or you can go to where it's more of like the modern D-pad before they became, I don't know, it's interesting. But anyway,
all I want out of life is for the Xbox One controller to have the proprietary PlayStation D-pad. If you could meld those two together where the D-pad's separate.
See, I don't like that personally because it's impossible to do diagonal direction.
I never feel like I need that with a D-pad. But if I'm going to play Mortal Kombat, I need to play it on a PlayStation. Because of that. If it's a D-pad that is on that one single axis without the buttons actually separated,
because you always accidentally hit like up over as opposed to up, and then fucks up combos and shit. I could see that.
It's always a thumb roll instead of a separate motion.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so to finish my thought really quick, no. So with the Astro controller, you can swap them. So it's a PS4 controller, but you can lay the joystick D-pad out like an Xbox One controller.
That's
which
cool.
is the only flaw of the PlayStation controller, if you ask me, is that I don't know who the fuck's idea it was to put the joysticks next to each other.
I'm so used to playing with a 360 controller.
It doesn't feel comfortable. The offset controller.
I can't use a PlayStation 1 now.
The N64, which with the Rumble Pack was basically a dildo with handles. That got us used to having our hands offset, and it was a natural feeling having it offset. Right. Same with it on a computer. Like if I have my hand on my mouse and my hand on my keyboard, my hands are not parallel. My mouse sits further back. There's an offset there. I don't know why. I like physically or mentally, I don't know why that is, but the offset just feels natural. And I think that the controller setting on an Xbox One controller feels more natural, at least to me, than a PS4 controller. And I know there are people that will argue the exact opposite. But again, options are a good thing. So why not? Right? Right.
You say so.
So yeah, anything else big? We talked about Final Fantasy briefly. We talked about Ghost Recon. Steve in the chat brought up, have you guys seen, I saw it briefly, Steve. I didn't read much into it because I'm not blind. Have you guys seen the Braille controller that Microsoft wants to put out?
No.
No, is this in addition to the accessibility controller that they just recently put out?
I don't know if it's in addition, but it's in that same R&D department. But yeah, there are input commands, which are essentially buttons, I think, that are on the back end of the controller that have Braille on them. Awesome. Video games are for everyone. Open up that accessibility. What are you playing if you're blind?
So there has been, I can't remember what game specifically, but there was a speed run done by a blind person. I think it was Ocarina of Time.
How?
Based on sound cues. When you start having, like, let's say you have surround sound, you're going to hear exactly the positions that things are happening.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because especially now, like when you get into, like I have the Nari Ultimate headset on my PC, which was the first gaming headset that has haptic feedback.
That's all well and good, everything you're saying, but that's pretty amazing if they can make a game with surround sound that's so good somebody can Daredevil their way through a game. I can see that in the real world.
Dude, he needs to do it dressed as Daredevil.
I can't see it in a simulation. I can see it in the real world. Like, yeah, okay, there's a bird over there. There's a car coming this way. I get it. I can do that with my eyes closed. But in a game, damn. I mean, I know they have heightened senses, but your senses are only as heightened as what the technology is allowing you to hear. So if it's that good, then that's amazing.
I'm wondering if someone of that gaming caliber and also having impaired vision.
And lots of time to memorize left and right.
Right. I wonder if, because imagine being in a 3D open world game and closing your eyes for like 30 seconds and then actively walking around while closing your eyes.
I'd be totally lost.
Like, would you be able to, without opening your eyes after 30 seconds, would you be able to say which direction on the map you're facing?
No, fuck no.
Yeah. But I wonder if they could take like a note sheet from like Rock Band that was in Braille or whatever, and then read the note sheet and then memorize it and then be able to play Rock Band just with the musical cues.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Because that almost goes back to that old joke of why do they have the Braille buttons on drive-up ATMs? Like, are blind people driving up to ATMs? What's going on here? So anyway, yeah.
You probably got a ride, you know?
Probably. So yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. And again, Microsoft.
You know what's a bad thing? I was at a stoplight the other day, and I saw a blind guy. It was right by your house, right down by the bank. And he's walking down the road, and I'd never seen it before. He had the stick with him, you know?
Yeah.
And he tripped because he walked off the sidewalk a little bit. He jumped like 10 feet in the air and landed and kept on going. It's crazy. I've never seen anybody. I see them walking with the stick, but I've never seen them actually like misstep and then reorient themselves and keep going.
Yeah, they're like tops. They're like tops, man. They don't fall over.
This is terrible. We're terrible people.
Why we're talking positive of them.
I mean, I'm speaking in awe, but it doesn't sound like it.
Anytime you're at a crosswalk and the crosswalk has sound cues that go with it, that's because there's a deaf person that lives in the area.
Our crosswalks all sound like birds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Instead of like, motherfucker, don't walk yet, it's a bird. I don't understand why.
I see. I don't say walk, and I'm just yelling at it to quit telling me what to do.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't you love the ones that walk, that have the white walk logo for like a half a second, and then it's the don't walk, and it tells you have like
motherfucker run.
You've got like 5 seconds to cross 8 lanes.
There was one in Seattle that would do the walk thing, but then it sound cue, instead of being a bird, it was like a clicking sound in rapid succession that sounded like someone had one of those little toy machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I'm like, you're just trying to make people run faster, thinking they're getting shot at.
I want to hack on that and then make it so the sound effect says "run, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Anyway,
you just gotta hire Sam Jackson, you know.
Right. Oh, everyone needs to hire Sam Jackson. He needs to voice everything.
Say what one more time? Cross the street, motherfucker.
So as we mentioned at the top of the show, and as it's pointed out in the title, there is one other big topic of conversation for tonight's episode. I don't have the website up, but it got put out that there is a U.S. congressman, senator, somebody who is a douchebag because he's a politician, decided to lay out a bill that bans loot boxes and microtransactions, and there are a couple different setups there. Them being predatory, targeting children, attacking them as gambling. So I think one of the moves is like motioning to have them banned in states where gambling is banned, different things like that. I have opinions, and they're not the popular opinion, or at least not the loud one.
Your opinion is not the loud opinion?
Only because I'm saying it. So, and anyone that's listened to anyone that's listened to me before kind of knows my opinion on it. But so Derek, I'll let you take the floor first on this one. Where do you kind of stand? We're in this era of video games now where these $60 to $120 AAA titles are still making you buy the game, but now we've got what is essentially the mobile gaming type of market with loot crates and microtransactions. Like, how do you feel about where we're at and going forward?
I fall on the fence just because, being an old school gamer, growing up with games,
rip your satchel that
have downloadables. Sorry, what was that?
Said you can rip your satchel that way. Sorry, go ahead.
But so I understand I paid money for, I should get everything in the game. I also, as an adult, understand the way that the gaming industry works for programmers, where they need other stuff to do, so we avoid these mass layoffs. So I see the benefit of them as well. As long as they are not changing the gameplay. Loot boxes specifically. DLC is a whole nother argument when it comes to like fighters and stuff like that. But if it's cosmetic or just something that does not affect gameplay, I have no problem with it.
I am with you on that. And also, I just don't care. If I want it, I'll buy it. And if I don't, I won't. And as for gambling, you're not really gambling because you're guaranteed to get something, be it what you want or not.
No, you'll never get me to budge on the gambling argument. Let me take a step back from that with an asterisk. If you're talking about something like CS:GO, where I can take what I get in a crate and sell it, then you're treading gambling, right? Because I could buy, and I don't play CS:GO, so I don't know to a T how their system works. But just using a generic loot box idea, if I were to buy a loot box that has 3 items and of varying rarity, and I could then turn around and sell those items on the Steam store to get money to buy a game or buy more loot boxes, then there's a financial value assigned to those items. A financial value which may wind up to a couple bucks or maybe a couple $100 because CSGO
but that's
skins.
not gambling. That's something more akin to like black market trading.
It's just like, it's more akin to like magic cards. So if you're gonna call that gambling, the magic cards are gambling.
Gambling would be when, you know, you buy a loot box and then maybe there's nothing in it.
Right, exactly. That's gambling because 99% of loot boxes have zero value. They're digital items that you cannot resell. They have no value whatsoever. So I don't care if it's gray or if it's gold or purple or whatever the fuck the legendary color is for whatever game you're playing. Every item you get has a $0 value. When you buy that loot box, they're saying, look, you give us 99 cents or $1.99 or whatever a case, and usually you get 3 boxes or 4 boxes, depending on your game. You are going to get, you buy a box, it opens up, you get 3 items or you get 4 items. You're guaranteed to get 3 or 4 items, depending on your game. You're never going to get less. You're never going to get more. It is a sure thing. And it is an outlined word for word transaction. You give us X amount of dollars. We give you Y amount of loot boxes. End of discussion. There's no gamble. You know what you're getting. You're getting 4 worthless fucking items. It doesn't matter what color they are.
Then you fall into the people that get, and this is a whole different discussion about gaming addictions, but with gambling addiction, it's the thrill of getting that, 1 out of 1,000 item.
Now, see, I enjoy that.
Then they're the ones that turn it into gambling.
Right.
So, like,
but see,
I'm fine if you want to put rarities in the loot boxes and things like that, but putting out the odds that might deter some people from that, or at least give them a perspective.
Or do like what they've been doing. Apex is doing this. And I mean, one, it's 100% cosmetic. It's a battle royale. Everything's cosmetic, but you're guaranteed to never get doubles. And it's not just like what Overwatch does, where it's like,
that's not a common practice now. You're guaranteed not to get doubles.
No, really? Typically what these games do is it's the Overwatch style, and I'm sure other games have done it before. If you get a double, you'll still get it in the loot, but then it will go, a double, and then like you'll get a certain amount of in-game currency based off the rarity of the item to go towards more.
So what Gears 4 does with doubles is it lets you destroy all of that, and you can use those crafting materials you've gotten from destroying that extra loot
to create
to get something else. Yeah,
that's what Heroes of the Storm does.
Is it?
Yeah. And I'm sure there are other games that do that as well. But yeah, there's crafting materials. And like in Heroes of the Storm, there's specifically a crafting material that you only get from breaking down doubles. And then you can craft other rare and legendary items using those. So
that's all well and good, but my only problem there is that I find the entirety of loot boxes to be tedious. To go through and hit X, open the box, or hit Y and open everything and have it go through. But then you have to go through the menu and fucking
see,
destroy,
I'm one of those people.
Destroy.
I'm one of those people where I'll buy 100 loot boxes and I'll enjoy opening all 100 of them because I find it fun.
Depends on the game.
Yeah. It depends
I've not found a game yet where I've enjoyed it.
And the animation. I liked opening them in Apex.
Oh, I hate the animation. I don't
see. I love it, especially if they're good.
No, they're not ever good though.
But really quick back to Apex. So with Apex, there is a finite amount of boxes you can buy. Now, when they introduce a new season, they're going to add more cosmetic items. They're on season 1 right now, and when it launched, it was season 0.
I really like that idea. A finite amount of boxes.
Right. Because
that's awesome.
There are no doubles.
Well, so you look at how many there are.
Well, yeah. No, there are thousands. There are thousands of items, with the majority of them being white and a lot of them being like voice lines and shit. So like there's a lot of junk in there. But
so really, they've just taken everything that they used to just throw out, and now they're like, fuck it, we'll sell it to them.
But they're not even selling it because, again, it's all cosmetic, and you can earn loot boxes just by playing.
Right, but you can also buy it.
Now
right?
Right, exactly. Well, of course.
So it's for sale.
Now we can get into the ethics of that. Like, obviously, Battlefront 2 is a big. I mean, they've fixed it since then.
Yeah, so Battlefront 2 is a moot point because they fixed it. But what are the ethics of it really? It's on you. You choose to buy it or you don't.
The thing with Battlefront 2 is Battlefront 2 people, and that's what started this whole fucking thing. No one, I mean, yeah, you had your people who cried about loot boxes, but no one cared prior to Battlefront 2 that much. But people argued that Battlefront 2 was pay to win, which I say is bullshit. But whatever, they're gone. You could get slight buffs to your skills and to your guns. Slight. I want to stress slight. They were not game breaking buffs to your guns. And like you could unlock Darth Vader, or you could unlock, I think Han Solo was one of the loot crate characters. But the thing is I will argue that those were cosmetic. And the reason that I will argue that is because if you were to do the hero battles in Battlefront 2, Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, who you got for free, they were unlocked in the fucking game the second you played it, were both more powerful than Vader and Solo. So you were better off playing as Kylo, because he's a better fucking character anyway, than you were as Vader.
What? A better character than
Vader, shut up. And then you were better off playing as Skywalker than Solo anyway, so all they were doing...
Like that? I can't even listen to that shit.
All they were doing was they were cashing in on Vader being an iconic character. So he was obviously people wanted him, but you could unlock him by playing. And this is where I draw some contention with people. I blame the players for Battlefront 2. I blame the players, I blame social media, and I blame all the entitled gamers. Here's why. Battlefront 1 was the game and a season pass. Pretty standard these days. $60 for a game, $40 for a season pass. You get everything, right? Everyone whined and bitched. Oh, why is there a season pass? Because it's Star Wars. So it's going to bring a lot of people to the table that might not be regular gamers, so they're not used to this format, right? Fine. Because that was the format. Game, season pass, and that's how I look at it now. A full game isn't $60 anymore. That's entry level. A full game is between $100 and $140, depending on how much the season pass is. That's what I've come to accept as a gamer. So then EA came out and said, fine, you want to whine and cry and bitch, and you want everything handed to you for free or for that $60 price tag? All right, fine. Battlefront 2. No DLC, no expansions, no nothing. You get everything on disc, $60. But there's loot boxes. Or you can play to unlock it. That's why it wasn't play to win or pay to win, because you can buy loot boxes or you can play. You unlock the same shit either way. Yeah, it takes you a little while, but I guarantee you that the same people that were crying about how long it took to unlock, like Darth Vader, are the same people that are crying that video games are too short these days. So, Where's your argument? If they end up banning loot boxes, what I want to see games go up to $100 or $120. That's what I want, because that's the next step. They tried DLC and season passes and gamers cried. They're doing loot boxes and microtransactions and gamers are crying. So if I was like a CEO of, like if I was Bobby Kotick or the EA, whoever's, I don't know the name of the guy that's in EA or any of these people, right? And I'd be like, all right, no more DLC, no more season passes, no more loot boxes, no more microtransactions. The MSRP of your game is $119.99 because our devs need to be paid. Like, that's it. Because the money's got to come from somewhere. They lose money on piracy. Not a lot so much anymore. That's more so in the PC range. I expect that Borderlands 3 is going to lose a lot of money because of piracy, because people are going to say, fuck Epic. I mean, that's why I'm not buying it on PC, because fuck Epic. But they lose money on piracy. Where I think they lose most of their money now is on used game sales. Because
that's a whole topic to dive into there, just with the upcoming game streaming with Google, and supposedly the rumor saying what Microsoft is going to be doing with Azure. that's the used game market's going to start dwindling moving forward anyway.
I hope so, because places like GameStop need to go away. And I like, or maybe not go away, but at least change their model. Like, I like that GameStop has got more into, like, they're almost a Think Geek store at this point.
Because they own them, yeah.
Oh, do they own
like
Think Geek?
I have a Think Geek store in our mall.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't go into them often. We don't have a Think Geek up here, and I can't stand the fucks that work at GameStop anymore. I grew up with the coolest GameStop employees going to the mall and hang out all the time, and now they're just like a bunch of Fortnite players. But yeah, so and that's why, like, I don't buy used games. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to where at my job I make pretty good money, so I can buy I can drop, you know, $1.20 on a game, and it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? And the way I justify the cost of a game is if it takes me less hours to earn that money than I get out of the game, it was worth it to me. So, you know, let's say it takes me 4 hours to earn the cost of a game. As long as that game gives me like 6 to 8 hours plus of entertainment, that was worth it to me, because it entertained me for longer than it took me to earn the money. And to me, that's the trade-off for me.
I had to feign outrage so I could go pee. What'd I miss?
I figured you weren't actually upset. I was just talking more about how Kylo was better than Vader.
Oh, fuck off.
So that raises the question, though. If AAA titles raised up, like, I would say $85, I would be cool with, for, you know, maybe
if they're
the next console life cycle.
If they're going to eliminate the season pass, I would expect them to come in at the price point of the game in the season pass. So I would say about $100. That's my opinion.
And see, and a lot of the season passes, as they've bumped from, say, $20 to $40, I have bought way less of them.
Oh, see, I buy the deluxe edition every time. Like, that's, if I'm gonna buy, if I'm buying a game, I'm buying the top edition. I think like Rage is what, $80. I think I spent 70 on Days Gone. Division 2 was fucking $120, and I bought it twice.
But then what I'm wondering is what happens with your indie devs at that point?
How do you
the guys that are putting out, you know, a $20 game, and they're getting tons of people to check it out, like we were saying earlier with Rocket League, a game that came in at a low price, great value, great replayability. Where do you think people are going to go with that? Are they then going to bump their prices because they're paying X amount for this?
I don't see how they would be affected, because if you think of it, right, the AAA games aren't bumping their prices. They're just making it all inclusive now. They're removing the option. They're saying, look, game season pass, like, that's essentially what you're doing, because right now you can buy a game for $60. You can buy the deluxe edition, which is usually like the game and some bonus skins and maybe 7-day early access if the dev is nice to us. I love that that's a thing now.
I hate it.
I love it. But and then
it's a step away from play to win for me if you got a multiplayer game and
so you can pay to get a leg up on everybody else.
Because I paid more.
It depends. If you're talking a single player game, it has no consequence.
Yes.
If you're talking a game like Division 2, where the PvP was normalized, so whether you were level 1 or level 30, everyone was on the same playing field. No consequence. If you're talking, if you were like, if a new MOBA came out, well, I know, because even MOBAs, every match is different. What game would that affect? Call of Duty, maybe? Like Call of Duty,
if you're unlocking weapons in it, just player skill in general.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, but it's still there for everyone. If you want the 7-day early access, buy the deluxe edition.
Yeah, so it's pay to win. That's what I'm saying. It's a step removed from play to win. That's why it bothers me.
Okay, but I have yet to see the 7-day early access in any. The only thing I think, and it's EA, would be Madden. Yeah. But that's the thing with EA access or Origin access, like that's for all of their games. Like Anthem. I was done with Anthem before the game actually came out because I put 60 hours into it in the Origin Premier access period. So I was done with their game before it even launched. But yeah, so you have your base game for $60, your deluxe, which is again the extra like skins and shit, maybe an extra weapon or two, for like $70 or $80, and then usually you have your ultimate, which is your season pass, and that's your 100 or 120. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to eliminate DLC completely and have it be one price for everything, I would expect that you'd be flying in at that $100 price point. Maybe because they're forcing everyone into it, they would drop it down to 80, but video game companies aren't there to do us any favors.
No, that's why I'm thinking like if it was an $85 price tag and they're saying maybe it's not a season pass, maybe it's or it is a season pass, but it's a shorter, like it's a 3-month versus a year. I could see more gamers being okay with that when you look at, Super Nintendo games costing $80 back in the 90s versus now when you factor in inflation. Yeah, totally.
But, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's one thing that people don't talk about. Like video games are the only thing that haven't suffered from inflation. If anything, again, like you said, they've gone down. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, in 2015, I'm not going to take the time to Google it right now, but I've had this argument so many times. Several years ago, or at least a few years ago, the average salary of a video game developer was about $85,000 a year. And then you look at the amount of, like, what's a small video game team? And I'm not talking indie, but like I'm talking a small team. You're talking like 10, 15 people?
I would even say that for indie. Like if you're looking at a small
AAA, because there's no indie developer that's making $80,000.
Yeah. So AAA small team, maybe 120
people.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that's your devs, that's your artists, your marketing, the whole
okay.
team.
And then on average, like how long is a video game in development for?
2-3 years, depending on scope, obviously.
Right.
But minimum, let's say 3 years.
Yeah, because even your Call of Duties, which are on a yearly cycle, it's a different dev team, right? So most video games these days, and we're talking AAA titles, top of the line graphics, like AAA games, like your cream of the crop. $100,000 at least, or I'm sorry, like 100 million at least budget, maybe a little bit lower.
Yeah,
but somewhere between like maybe like 75 and 125, right?
Yeah.
And you're complaining about having to pay $120 to access this thing that this company paid $100 million to make. Really? Like I just don't. And even if you break it down, like even if you go highest possible dollar amount with lowest realistic hours. So let's say $120, right? Which is about what unless you buy like the super duper comes with a crazy statue shit. I don't do that because I don't buy physical games. It's all digital for me.
I did that and then I got a canvas bag. It's still sitting behind me.
Wait, it wasn't actually canvas though, was it?
No, it's that I actually have the shitty nylon one.
Oh, okay. So that's a throwback to the Fall of 76 talk from earlier. So $120 is your high end. Let's say for the sake of easy math, you get, let's say 20 hours. 20 hours out of that, right? So at that point, you're looking at $6 an hour for the cost of your entertainment there. It's 2019. Realistically, where else can you go for an entertainment venue? Because that's what a video game is. It is an in-home entertainment venue. I'm not talking about going to the park and watching the fucking ducks. I'm talking about a legit entertainment venue. Where can you go for less than $6 an hour and enjoy yourself for 20 hours? Or 10 hours? Or 5. Okay.
Pornhub.
Fine, unless you're like me and want to support artists and have a subscription.
Brazzers. But you have to pay a full year in advance.
But yeah, but porn, but porn's not a bad example. Like, I mean, look at browsers. You get what, like 3 half-hour videos a day. So
I don't know if you should tell everybody what you know.
I don't care. That's an hour and a half. That's an hour and a half a day. Sundays don't count. So it's an hour and a half a day, 6 days a week. So what's that? 9 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. So, and it's what, like $70 for a 1-year subscription? So, okay, porn is cheaper than video games. But other than that, again,
you want to make that comparison of porn pushing technology, which video games have used.
Subscription, subscription, porn as a service.
Yeah.
Porn as a service.
Fucking, what were the two different
we are talking about fucking. Where have you been?
HD, DVD, and Blu-rays.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that porn drives technology. I mean,
but going further back, porn decided the VHS Betamax argument.
Yep.
There you go. And again, with what he just said.
Yeah. So it's porn as a service. It's a subscription-based service, and that's slowly but surely putting the DVD market out. Mm-hmm. So it's only a matter of time till video games are in the same boat. And again, that's
what I'm saying is, if you want to look at, $120 for a video game, when I can spend, $8 a month on Xbox Game Pass.
Right. If you're willing to wait at least 3 to 4 months to play a game.
But when that becomes the norm, you're still going to get like their exclusives. Sea of Thieves I played on day one.
Right. Crackdown, Forza. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. But now let me one up you with that, with Origin Access Premier, which is a little bit of a unique thing because it's PC exclusive. Now there's EA access on Xbox, and it's actually coming to PlayStation, I think, in a couple months.
Something like that. Yeah. They just announced it.
But what they have on PC, and I've talked about it before, but for those that are not familiar, they have Origin Access Premier, which is $15 a month or $100 for the year. Now, everyone that says EA is cheap and EA only wants your money and EA doesn't care about your game or the gamers, I mean, maybe you're right in some ways. But for $100 for a year, less than $10 a month, so basically about a pack of cigarettes a month, if you're looking price-wise, you get every EA game, similar to Game Pass, where you get every Microsoft game. Here's the one up with Origin Access Premier. You get all the DLC. You get everything. So, and they introduced this last year with the release of Madden 19 in August, and the option was you buy the Hall of Fame edition of Madden, which is $100, because again, season pass, all the Madden Ultimate Team stuff, right? Like the high end version of the game is $100, or you pay $100, and it was a great time to introduce this too, because Madden was coming back to PC for the first time in a long fucking time. You pay $100 for Hall of Fame, or you pay $100 for a year of Premiere. Within that year, you're getting Madden, you're getting FIFA, you're getting a Need for Speed game, you're getting Battlefield 5, and then you're getting Anthem. So not only do you get those 5 games with all the DLC included, because they are essentially the deluxe/ultimate version of the game, so you're getting all the DLC and all the games, along with their entire back catalog, which is very impressive if you have PC. And then other games like all the Sims games and DLC and everything else. And EA's even kind of righted their wrongs. Like, they know that their newest SimCity game was garbage, so they added City Skylines to Origin Premier because it's the better city builder. And like, that's an incredible deal for $100 a month. I have tweeted Ubisoft over and over and over and over again. I'm like, give us Uplay Premier. Let me pay. I mean, fuck, for Uplay, I'd pay $120 because I like their games more. Let me pay $120, $10 a month. Let me subscribe to your platform and get all of your games at no extra cost. Think about that. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Division, Ghost Recon, and all that DLC for $12 a month or $10 a month. Like, games as a service is the way to go, because you don't need to worry, especially, and EA was a good place to start it because they've got so many yearly titles, right? Because your Madden you throw away every year. Same with your FIFA. NHL as well, but NHL is currently console exclusive. I would love to see them bring NHL 20 to PC this year.
I think it'll be just a matter of time.
Yeah, but yeah, because Madden made its triumphant return this past year. But for $100, it's such a great deal. And I want to see more companies doing that. Again, Microsoft does it with Game Pass, but there's no DLC included. So yeah, like I get Forza Horizon.
No, actually they have done DLC later on.
Have they? Okay, because I remember with Forza Horizon 4, like I got the base $60 game, but then I had to buy the VIP pass for $40 to get all the cars.
Yeah, like they just brought in, I want to say it was Saints Row 4, but they also brought like the presidential DLC pack with it onto Game Pass. And yes, this is years removed.
I was going to say, it's like a decade-old game.
But the DLC's there. At least they're like, you know what? We're not expecting you to buy the DLC on this game that you're only going to play on Game Pass.
Well, right. And the only counter argument I would make is we're at a point now where you could go buy the Saints Row, the complete game.
Yeah.
EA is giving you a day one game with all the DLC included in Origin Premiere. And then if you subscribe, like I'm going to subscribe to it again because it's going to lapse in August when Madden comes out. I'm going to fucking buy Madden, so I'm going to pay for Premiere. Now I get the new Star Wars game for free because again, and yes, I say the word free. I understand I'm paying a subscription service, but for me, Madden is a yearly buy guaranteed. And I buy Madden and I play Madden Ultimate Team like crazy. I think I mentioned last week, like I typically drop a few $100s every year on Madden Ultimate Team because it's basically like Magic the Gathering meets football. It's a deck building game with football, and I like that. Like it's deck building, it's kind of fantasy football, like, and it's playing football, so it hits everything I like. So Madden is a no questions asked buy. So there's my $100 right there. So if I'm dumping that on Premiere as opposed to Madden, in my eyes, everything else I get with Premiere the rest of the year is free because that money was gone for Madden anyway. So like I get to play Fallen Order for free, and I get to play whatever comes out next year for EA for free. And I would love to see games as a service eliminates used games. Games as a service eliminates the need to worry about DLC as long as they do it like EA and not like Microsoft. Sony has gone that route a little bit with PS Now, which I guess your PS4 games and PS2 games you can download, but PS3 games you have to stream. That's the only thing I'll say where I kind of side with the majority is if you're going to give me a games as a service platform, I need to be able to download the games.
Yes.
And I need to be able to play it while offline.
Yeah, like, and another side of that as well is when you get into video game archivists and stuff like that, yes, you need to have the ability to download a copy.
But I don't need to own my games. I mean, everyone's like, oh, I want to own it. I want to own it. I want to own it. And fine, ownership, whatever. But what else do we do that with that we used to? Like, I know there are people that do. I'm not ignorant to that. But most people don't buy movies anymore because we have Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that. Like, I will buy movies only because most movies I won't bother going to the theater for. So instead of spending what winds up being $60 fucking at a movie theater by the time you're done with concessions and everything, instead of paying that for one person, I will pay the $20 when it comes out on digital and watch it as much as I want. But like music, you know, I'm an Apple guy, so I use Apple Music, but like there's Spotify or Pandora, like they're all out there. And I have I haven't bought an album. I think the last album that I bought was the deluxe edition of the Avenged Sevenfold's Hail to the King, which was a while ago now.
Yeah.
Because with Apple Music, typically I get 7-day early access to any new album that comes out. And as long as I pay for Apple Music, which I think is like $10 a month, then I have everything right there on iTunes at no additional cost. I used to buy at least an album a month. So you're talking what, $12 to $20 a month, depending on the album. $10 a month for every album I want is a steal. And
yeah, I definitely live that life.
Yeah. And because I'm in the Apple ecosystem, I can stream it from my watch to my AirPods. I don't have to fucking download anything. My watch has LTE. Like, it's.
I'm feeling like this is a long conversation about you slyly telling us about everything you want.
No, I'm just saying the market.
Yeah,
that
2 Nintendo Switches, 2 Xbox, 2 4K TVs.
I don't own one. I do own 2 4K TVs, don't I? But yeah,
that mental checklist of everything he's listed off.
So where do we get with gaming where and we did kind of break away from loot boxes a little bit, but it did kind of naturally go into this games as a service talk, because games as a service is a way to get rid of content loot boxes. Mm-hmm. If everything's part of that subscription, then there you go. I mean, but we can dial it back a little bit because we did break away from it. So like you were saying, as long as they're not game breaking, as long as they're not, as long as it's not pay to win, loot boxes are fine.
Yep.
Brandon, you were in the same boat.
Yep.
Yeah. Me. Yeah. I mean, same. I guess same idea. Like, it doesn't really bother me. I typically buy a bunch of loot boxes, so I don't mind if they're pay to win. Because if it's gonna give me an edge, it gives me even more reason to buy them. But I love loot boxes. I mean, I don't think I have a gambling addiction.
For me, loot boxes, if I can earn them in game, awesome. But let's take like Blizzard games, for example, since we were talking about, Overwatch. That's a prime example of, that's a game I spent $60 on, but they also continue to put out content on top of that. You don't pay for a season pass. I can hop in, when it came out, I played 2 months hardcore, like every night. Took a couple months off. They had an event with new loot boxes. I hopped in and said, well, you know what? Here's a game that I've gotten my $60 out of. I don't mind throwing another $5 at a dev if it gets me to go back and play it for a week. Like, that is an example of doing it the right way. You're giving me new content, new maps, new characters, and you're not charging me a season pass on top of it. Yeah, I am more than happy to throw some extra bucks your way through a loot box.
Definitely.
That doesn't affect the gameplay.
Definitely. Corey says I have a spending addiction. You're not wrong. I'm a sucker for things. Like, I wouldn't say I have a gambling addiction. I don't gamble. Again, in my opinion, loot boxes aren't gambling. I don't gamble. I'm not going to go to a casino. I don't bet on horses. I don't buy scratch tickets. I don't even play the fucking lottery. I do have an issue with collections, and that I'll admit, like, I have to complete them. So you talked about Overwatch and like the different content. Sure. I think we established that a long time ago. So like with Overwatch, right? Back when I gave a shit about that horrible fucking game. Wow. Dude, I hate that game. That was the start of Blizzard's downfall.
I know that you hate that game. I've known that forever, but for you to finally like, I've
been open about it.
That you're not into it.
I'm not into anything Blizzard at the moment. Blizzard is not. I don't know. Blizzard was that blonde bombshell that after you got to know her for a while, you found out that there was nothing inside.
No, that was Activision.
I don't blame Activision. They have the most successful first-person shooter franchise of all time. So it's Activision's fault.
How much of that bled over into Blizzard.
And that's caused Blizzard to be bad. I love Call of Duty. I mean, I don't know. Activision, Call of Duty is a solid shooter. It's relatively bug-free. There's typically a lot of content. Black Ops 4 is the best it's ever been. I don't need a single player campaign in Call of Duty. That's not what I play Call of Duty for. But anyway, regardless. But I was that guy. Like, ooh, Halloween event. Like, I knew that the day that Halloween event dropped, I was dropping $100 on loot boxes because I wanted to get everything. So like, that's just what I was going to do. It was the same with Division 2. Like, I was playing Division 2 and then they had like the apparel event that lasted like that month or whatever. And I think I spent like $30 or $40 on the in-game currency to be able to buy the boxes to get all the loot. Not only because I wanted it, but because there was a special full outfit that you got only if you collected everything. But Division 2 went the same route as Apex, where there was no duplicates. So it was a finite amount of boxes that I had to buy. I didn't have to spend $100 on loot boxes like I do with Overwatch to try and get everything. I did the math. There's 26 items. It's one item per box. Needed to buy 26 boxes. Boxes average out to about 50 cents a piece. Had to spend $13. Cool. It was a simple transaction. I think, no, Infinity Ward is not better than Treyarch. You go away with that slander, Beatmaster. Fucking Modern Warfare, overrated garbage. No, don't go away. You're a wonderful person, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
I'm going to alienate my listeners, but take it back afterward.
I would be, if that was anybody but Beatmaster or Corey or any of the regulars. I mean, I would have gone harder on Steve. I think Steve's gone though.
Steve's gone.
Yeah, but no, I gotta give you are my Thanos. But yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how far this bill gets and what it means for. I mean, I don't know if the devs are gonna hit back angry but it's gonna be really interesting the next couple of years to see what happens. I don't necessarily think I like having the government involved, but if they want to argue that it's gambling and that the practices are predatory towards children, they have the right to step in.
I think that the entertainment industry, the video game digital entertainment industry, will step in and regulate it themselves, just like they did with the ESRB, just to placate the government anyway.
Yeah,
they'll figure a way around it.
If that's going to be their main argument, if their main argument is going to be, all right, no loot boxes in games that are aimed at kids. All right, every game with a loot box is M-rated. Yeah. It's up to the parents. So fine, if you want to turn around and make Fortnite M-rated, then. But shouldn't it be up to the parents anyway? 13-year-olds don't have fucking credit cards.
Yeah.
So, and that, I mean, you hear it all the time. Parents complaining about how their kids are begging for money for Fortnite. Be better parents. That's all it comes down to. Says the guy who buys his kids everything. But no, like if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on stupid virtual shit for a stupid video game, then just say no to your kids or hide your credit cards better. Like it's not the government's job to regulate how the video game companies make their money as long as it's legal, and it's not the video game's job to parent your kids for you.
You don't think there's a disconnect there with the government though? Like, yeah, okay, they're going to regulate this, but do they really know what they're regulating?
No, probably what it is one of the politicians' kids stole their credit card, spent, $500 on Fortnite emotes.
Yeah.
And now he's pissed off.
Well, it's our money that they're spending, right? Since our tax dollars pay them. So it's probably more like 10 grand, something notable that maybe somebody might have noticed. $500. I mean, what's that? One McDonald's worker's salary? Fuck that guy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Speaking in the words of the government employee, of course, not like us. Don't screw the McDonald's people over. I want my McDonald's. But
I want my baby back ribs.
Yeah, but no, I mean, but it's so, and this is something we didn't touch on. What does this mean for mobile games? Is this for just for AAA games, or is
I'm assuming it's just affecting AAA?
Because
if you look at mobile games, they don't follow the ESRB.
They don't. There are ratings on mobile games, aren't there?
But they're not the same ratings.
Oh, they're not?
No.
See, that right there is indicative of me being an old man. I do not mobile game at all on my phone.
I love my Angry Birds.
I have an iPhone X. Not one fucking game on it at all. Nor has there ever been. So that's a completely foreign world to me.
They're all rated by their distribution platforms, as far as I know. I could be completely wrong and just talk it out of my ass, which if that's the case, the chat can chime in. But as far as I know, they're just regulated by the distribution platform.
Very similar to how like I can say cunt on this podcast because there's no FCC regulation.
Exactly.
Right.
So like you have Google and you have Apple distributing these games.
Fair enough.
They're going to be the two companies that are regulating what the rating is on them.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't know. So maybe it wouldn't affect them because I know, like, I mean, you look at games like Candy Crush, which is still making billions of dollars purely on you have to pay to play the game because you're out of lives, or you have to spam. I'm so glad that so many people have fallen out of that. I used to get the fucking requests for lives for Candy Crush or Farmville. That being said, I am super pumped for Diablo Immortal and can't wait to play it. It'll be that I mean, whatever. I hope it comes out and it's good because it's got so much shit. That's the one Blizzard game I'm looking forward to. Diablo
I don't know.
Immortal.
I will adopt the wait and see stance for it.
Well, it's gonna be free to play, so.
But yeah, only because like I've played Skyrim Blades or Elder Scroll Blades. And it was cool for the first couple hours, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And I have a feeling that Diablo is going to do the same.
Right, but see, I'm not going to sit and play it at home. But it's very similar to the Switch, right? Like I don't play the Switch on my TV. My Switch sits in my backpack or my Think Geek bag, and I play it when I'm at work usually. But yeah, that's when I play. Like I'll play the mobile games like if I'm in traffic, right?
I wish we got paid for all this product placement. I have a Think Geek bag too. Give me money.
I was just saying it sits in my bag.
I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying that we should get endorsements.
Yeah, for the 5 people.
Yeah, that's why I have all of the promotion behind me.
Who's paying for the kendo stick?
All right, hold on. Chat's going crazy. Hold on. You're my Thanos, Nate. At least Nate learned to take it back. Puts up fists. As opposed to the government types who spend billions on bullshit like Theranos. What? Nate tugs nipples about a Blizzard game. Took 5 minutes from the turnaround. Yeah, that's fair. The ESR. Well, no, it's not a Blizzard game. Diablo Immortal is being developed by Tencent. So it's not technically a Blizzard game. The ESRB is a self-regulating body like the MPAA. The industry did set them up to not get regulated by outside forces, meaning that when the industry doesn't adjust course in regards to loot boxes, others will do it for them. Makes sense. I don't think there's a course to adjust. It's not fucking gambling. They're not predatory. Let the developers make money. And
I will agree that they are not gambling. I will argue left, right, up, down, whatever, that they are predatory. Just because when you look at, like, going back to mobile games, the reason that the Candy Crushes or the Farmvilles have made so much money are by what they call the whales, the ones who will spend $100 a pop when they do their lives and their loot boxes and shit like that. That's the whole way that they're set up.
I am going to keep comments to myself of how the term for those people are whales, because I think that is accurate for more than one reason. But yeah, they're whales. Kind of very similar to how you have a whale in a casino. The person that just keeps shelling out that money. We'll go with that. It's a little bit more politically correct. I mean, we've been going for a while. I certainly don't want to drag this on, but do you predatory though? Like, isn't that a little harsh?
All marketing's predatory, so that's the only reason I can make that argument.
Well, fair, but not predatory in like a predator. Like, it's targeted. They're targeted. They're designed to sell.
I think that you're worried that predatory is too close to pederast and it's freaking you out.
Well, no, because like a predator is like a murderer. A predator is like a rapist. Like, that's a predator. Like, I don't look at, like, I think that word is way too strong to use on like.
You don't think they're preying on your wallet?
No, I think they're selling you a product.
So, okay.
So you agree with like subliminal marketing then? Like how Wendy, her caller says mom to make you feel that down home cooking?
Really?
Yeah, look at it.
I've never noticed that before. I just like their square burgers.
That's all it takes for Nate. He just needs a square patty.
Yeah, give me a square patty.
You give him a square patty, he's going to give you some fucking money.
It's people's inability to say no. Like Corey joked earlier, or he wasn't even joking, said earlier that I have a spending addiction. Yeah, I do. But like everybody does. That's why this country's in debt. Like we like to spend money. We like to buy things. We like shiny new things.
Everybody does. It's just a matter of your ability to have those shiny new things.
They're trying
we
to
have a first world country with a first world problem where we have expendable income. Whether we have it or not, we're still going to act like we have it.
They're
because
trying to
we have
play
to
off
keep up with the
psychologically
Joneses.
manipulating their audience. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a big discussion. It is a big debate. We've been here for about 2 hours, so we'll wrap it up for now. If you have any comments, and I'm sure some people do, in regards to how you feel about the bill, how you feel about the government getting involved.
Not only that, I think that we've touched on the subject of loot boxes in a million other shows. So if you dig into our archive that has been recently uploaded.
Yeah, well, in the process of being recently uploaded.
Process of being recently uploaded.
But yeah, if you have any opinions, or if you want to give us your 2 cents on how you feel about the bill, again, how you feel about the government getting involved, or just your opinion on loot boxes. And really, we focus this on loot boxes, but microtransactions are part of the conversation. And that, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, because then you get into repeat microtransactions, you get into single purchase microtransaction skins. We talked about briefly with Spatula when he was on last week. But it's a long conversation for a lot of people. And yeah, you can tweet at the show at Mind of a Geek Pod on Twitter, Mind of a Geek Podcast at gmail.com. And Brandon's trying to make you get Inked Geek DLC. Yeah.
Trying to what?
Yeah, I'm gonna start releasing the show. You're gonna get the first 30 minutes. That's gonna be what's free. And then you can pay, you can buy loot boxes, and those loot boxes will contain the other portions of the show.
And then halfway through that season, it's going to change to where you have to watch an ad.
Yeah. And then after the ad, there are microtransactions, and you have to unlock portions of the screen.
We should do choose your own adventure, and then people can do super chats to decide what we say.
Dude, if we were big enough to make that worth the effort.
Do you want to see Brandon punch Nate in the mouth? $200.
I mean, is this just a standing offer if we don't go to that switch?
That's a 970. That's a 976 number. What?
The old 900 hotlines.
Oh, the 976. Yeah, the sex line. It's a sex line number. Well, you're not showing your age. 1-900 numbers still exist, but so does Pornhub, so we don't need them anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't need some fat dude that sounds like a lady talking dirty to me. That's all it's on the other end of those things.
There's so many jokes right now. I just...
Oh, yeah. No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. Derek, where can people find you?
If you want to follow me to talk about video game stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at SometimesGeek. If you want to check out the show that I am co-hosts with and produce, check out Rolling Misadventures on your podcatcher of choice. That's for short form improv audio drama. Story arcs kept to 2 episodes long. We've done all sorts of stuff like spaghetti western soap opera, a Victorian era playhouse, and 80s crime drama. It's all over the place. It's wonderful. Again, that's at rollingmisadventures.com, or you can find the show on Twitter at the letter R Misadventures.
You guys should add a mechanic to one of your 2 episode things where there's loot boxes involved.
If you want to know where to find the show,
no, I mean, to the game
$2 to open up this social link.
Well, no, to the game mechanics. Make it so someone goes to open the door,
shit.
But when you open the door, it's a loot box and it's one of 3 random options.
Basically, I'm actually going to add that to my notes because we've thought of worse ideas, so we might have to make that happen at some point.
That could be fun.
But also, before I forget, also want to plug, we are doing a live episode. So normally our episodes are polished, backing music, sound effects, the whole 9 to be an actual audio drama. This time around, we're going to throw it all out the window. We are doing a live stream on Twitch with Livestream for the Cure to raise money for cancer research. That'll actually be on the 19th at 10:30 a.m. or 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Or just go to livestreamforthecure.com. There's a whole bunch of other podcasters that are doing this event. So yeah, come hang out.
Cool. And that's next weekend?
Yes, next weekend. Us specifically, we will be on next Sunday doing that.
Okay.
But like I said, there's tons of people, a bunch of friends of mine with other podcasts that are also participating.
And what was that URL again?
Livestreamforthecure.com.
Livestreamforthecure.com. Cool. Check it out, folks. Brandon, where can people find you?
Right here. Right here. I had a lot more to say a second ago, but then I subscribed to his show and got lost in reading synopses.
Got a bad
Apollo's show.
I
just want to tie into the chat before we get out of here. Apollo's show. How the hell does that sound? We take Nate out of it.
Wow.
I had to take one last jab.
Wow.
Wow, we should do like Free Beer and Hot Wings style and just do what have you learned at the end of the show. I learned that not podcasting in the same room as Nate has made me a lot more sharky toward giving him shit.
You used to give me a lot of shit. What are you talking about?
I did, but I don't feel bad about it over here.
Because I'm not a person anymore. I'm just a voice on the internet.
You're just a screen.
And I've learned that when it takes like a year for Nate to have me come back on, it just builds up that joke to one big jab at the end.
One big jab right all over your face. Eh? I'm going to be falking your ass later.
Gotta play it. Wait, hold on a second. And a throwback to Joey, not Josh.
Gnome dick works fine.
I sent him that sound bit. I'm like, hey, you remember this? And he's like, he quite enjoyed that. All right, so you can catch the show live Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, on your live stream platform of choice. Just search for Ain't Geek Studios, Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter via Periscope. It's iGeek Studios on Twitter because someone took IG Studios and it's too long. But anyway, yeah. So find us there, or you can subscribe to the podcast feed. As I mentioned, I don't remember if it was the top of the show or the pre-show, but I am in the process of adding all of our back catalog. So 5 full seasons of past guests with people such as JF Dubois, Amy Frost, Scott Johnson, Brian Ibbett, Justin Robert Young was on a few times, Bill Duran. So a lot of Frog Pants alumni, a lot of big podcasters.
Whoever came up with the idea for the title, The Rolling 20s, is a fucking genius.
The Rolling 20s?
Mm-hmm. It works on so many levels. I love it.
Yeah, that's our 1920s mob drama.
Yeah, that's literally comedy. What I'm going to do when the show is over.
Oh, it's like you totally threw me for whatever.
I'm torn between that and Temptress of the West. I love that too. That is great.
And the story arc we have out right now, which is the Clam Magnet Mysteries, is actually like my favorite thing I've edited. And we have the new episode for that one coming out at midnight tonight.
Nice. I will wait for that to drop before I jump into that. Are they all 1 and 2 acts? That's what I see. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
He said that like 5 times.
Luckily for me, I have 10 hours a day to listen to shows. So
there you go.
It's going to be my new job right there.
So to finish up my pitch really quick, check out the feed for all the past content. And as of this,
are you timing his outro?
As of, I was going great until I got cut off for 5 minutes.
I know, but now you have to start over again because
no, I don't.
On the spectrum I remember, you are a completionist. So.
I remember exactly where I was, but now the feed is back up on Google Play and Stitcher. It is updated to the new RSS feed, so we are everywhere. Check it out. Guest announcement for next week. She confirmed. Yeah, she confirmed. We have Thyst, for THYST, from the Lagging Balls podcast and co-host of Convert to Raid. Pretty popular podcaster, pretty popular WoW gamer. She's been involved in WoW and Blizzard and stuff for a while now. And she's really fun to follow on social media, so I would recommend following her. But excited to have her on the show next week. It'll be nice to... As much as I don't have that real love for Blizzard anymore, it will be nice to sit down and have a conversation with somebody who does.
Next week you will have that love for Blizzard.
I mean, it's like the memories are still there, man. But I don't know.
I think with her on the show,
she's got a real passion for Blizzard. So
I know. I listen to those shows. I know.
But yeah, so that'll be next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And that's it. So Derek, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. Brandon, it's a pleasure as always.
Yep.
And live chat room, you guys are always awesome.
Why did you even say that? You act like I'm a guest. I've been here the whole fucking time.
I said it's a pleasure as always.
Yeah, it's all right.
Always.
Later tonight,
always. Fuck. Live chat room, thank you very much for hanging out with us. You guys always chime in, and you always provide fun conjecture to our conversation. Brandon, thank you as always. For Derek, for Brandon, for myself, and for the rest of Ink Geek Studios, thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.
I don't want to eat the dick.
All right, now I can hang out and actually vape and not.
That's you should do that at the end of every show. That's like old school cartoons, like Hanna-Barbera.
What
or
like the you want it to be? I want to eat like that's gonna be our send off.
Yeah, I like it. As soon as the music stopped.
What was is Family Guy the one that was like Bad Hat Harry or something like that?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know, like, if you watch Always Sunny, like, it's the two of them saying shit backwards at the end of the show.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I think that's gonna be the. I mean, we could go with this one.
I am Brandon. I like I want to eat the dick better.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you want to do it with Ashley?
That sounds like a great idea.
That's pretty good because there's no context now.
Right.
Do you think she'd sue us if we started a company based on that?
There's this one.
Fuck.
I like that one too. That's deep really cuts right there.
Yeah, that goes way back. Yeah.
Yeah, I've threatened my co-hosts that if they ever want to leave this show, I'm like, you realize how much dirt I have on you with like 20 episodes at this point? Like I could cut it any way I want to.
Yeah, I'm
excited to listen to those shows. I think
thank you.
What I'm gonna do once we're done.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. I'm joined by my buddy Charles, who I've known pretty much since I started podcasting. He also does a D&D show, as well as he's co-founder of a Northern Colorado radio station, like internet-based radio station.
Awesome.
And then my other co-host is Megan, who is one half of the podcast Oh No Lit Class.
Nice. I've been super into theater of the mind, and like there's one show I listen to where every Thursday he reads creepypastas, and just the short format story works so well for my listening tastes. It's been great. So anything like that, I'm super into trying.
Yeah, these ones are a little bit longer. Like you're not doing like a 4-hour fucking D&D game.
Yeah, right. But somewhere between
it's like between
an
30
hour to 2 hours is
hour.
just right. Yeah, that's just right. So
yeah, it depends on the episodes. Like we don't stick to they have to be an hour because it is improv. We just want it to feel natural.
Right.
And then we take the natural and, like I said, just kind of overproduce it to the point where we have sound effects or music, or like we still have some of the banter because I'm never going to get rid of that. That's where some of the best jokes come from.
That's where your meat and potatoes are. You need that.
But yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, and I tell people it's the craziest and the most fun thing I've ever created.
Well, I am pumped. I think that will be right up my alley. I like the idea of keeping the banter, and I mean, yes, you need that anyway, but it kind of, without having listened to the show, it kind of gives me the impression of like, say you're in a voice studio recording, and it's like you just kept the outtakes there. I think that makes it a lot more, in the moment.
Yeah, like we've in the newest story arc, we've leaned a little bit away from the dice mechanics And it's just because it's the way that Fiasco works, which is the game system that we use for it, is you hand out a black die if the scene was going negative, or a white die if the scene was going positive. Those dice factor into stuff that happens later, but in the moment, it's just like, someone actually pointed it out to me. They're like, I could tell that a scene went good or bad for this person. I don't need to know what die you handed out. So yeah, it's like if you listen to the earlier episodes, it's very focused on the tabletop side. As we've progressed, like we've been doing this for about 9 months now. As it's progressed, it's turned more into the audio drama format that we're falling in love with.
That's great. I will be excited to see where that goes. I wish I had more input to give you. I need to listen.
Yeah, whenever you listen, like I said, I got the Twitter handle in the episode, Our Misadventures. Just shoot me a DM or something. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I've just been
pretty
kind of
much
listening.
guarantee that by like Wednesday I'll have listened to all of it. So
I've just been kind of listening. No, it sounds like it's a lot of fun. I don't know if you had touched on. You said you have guests, right?
Yeah.
How many do you usually like? Do you ever have like? Is it usually 1 or 2 guests for a 2-episode series, or?
It depends on the story arc. So like the earlier ones, it's just the 3 of us. I think the third story, the Miami Dice story arc, we have 1 guest. So it just kind of varies. Like it's at minimum 3 players, at maximum 5 players.
Oh,
so
okay,
like the story arc that I have now, it's myself and Megan, and then we actually had 3 guests on for that.
Oh, okay.
But the one I'm working on now, which will come out 2 weeks from Sunday, that one had 2 guests, but they were both from the same show. So we still had 5 players on that one.
Okay. Yeah, because that was kind of my thought. Was it'd be fun if you've got something that would fit once you have an opening, like if me and Brandon came on.
Yeah, totally.
Like that would be.
It's a bit of a time commitment. It's usually about 3 hours to do the 2 episodes.
When
it's set up, and
like what
typically we do Saturday mornings, but we
Saturday
can adjust.
Good.
We
good
can
for
adjust
me, bad
if
for
need
him.
be.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could make, you know how it works. I could make a Saturday morning work.
Yeah, I know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Mornings are great. I wish we did a morning podcast because I'm up super early. I would love to do a morning show. Because at 9, look at me. Can you even tell that my eyes are open at this point? Like,
no, you look super high.
Yeah.
No, the best part about bringing on guests though is that like once it's all said and done, like we had Rev do an episode. He was on the superhero story arc that we did.
Nice. He's supposed to be coming on here at some point. I gotta get on his ass about getting on here.
Yeah, you just gotta bug him. That's all it is. He's so freaking busy with everything with the station and whatnot.
Oh, I bet.
Plus, he does Grit City as well. So
yeah. Is he still doing he does the podcast? What is it, like the BJ's whatever?
Yeah. So Shay's Geek Nation. That's the local rock station's geek podcast that they put online.
Oh, okay.
He also does Grit City podcast, which is just like him and his friends.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but no, yeah, that'll be fun. Like I said, we'll something that would be thematic, that would be enjoyable, that would be a good time. Now, when you do it, are you guys like, you're just playing the game, but you're not? Are you role playing? Like, are you acting in character?
Oh, yeah, like we do really bad accents. The Victorian era Playhouse is prime example of that one, where we just made like offensive British accents the whole time. The story arc that's out right now, the Clam Magnet Mysteries, I actually play like a Southern Belle heiress. So like I do this really bad like rich entitled woman voice.
Hold on, do your really bad rich entitled woman voice.
You do declare, eh?
Well, my husband, I mean, he was so in charge of this company that it's not a surprise that he was targeted for a murder. Like shit like that, where it's just like they're bad, but it fits the characters.
I could see you as a sweaty Southern belle. Maybe maybe you smoked a few pipes. I don't know.
I see, like I could do that recorded. I couldn't do it live. So I'm glad that
that's just it. So like doing it in the moment, the accents slip a lot and it's fine.
Yeah.
No, but the best part is like
I couldn't do it live.
When it's all said and done, when I cut out the ums and uhs or us setting up our scenes because it is all improv, is when people get to listen to it at the end, they're like, holy shit, I was in an audio drama, because that's not what happened while you guys were recording it.
Right. It's like, wait, it's almost like filming a movie with all the green screen and shit. And then once you see that, like, wait a second, that wasn't there.
Right, you're just there for the raw audio, and then you can let them work their magic.
And then I do all the work afterwards. So the main idea is that just come on, do something that's different, have fun, and enjoy yourself. Let me worry about everything afterwards.
Right.
This makes it sound so dirty, and I like it.
There is an appeal to that. Like, I do.
No, you just want to do your thing and let him worry about it later.
Well, right, because like, I mean, well, no, I mean,
no
like,
muss, no fuss, no cleanup.
I have been a guest very few times on podcasts. We were on Pot a couple of times.
We were on Pot, and we were on fucking what's his name? The musician. The movie podcast. I was on that a few times.
I don't know.
Yeah, we listen to his shit. The folks,
but like having Nate hit me up to come on here, like, since I've stopped doing Sometimes Geek, I don't talk about video game shit hardly ever anymore. So getting a chance to come on and do that, to be something different, like, I jumped at it. It was like, yeah, I will absolutely come and talk about video games. Well, otherwise my cat doesn't really give me feedback. So.
Right. Well, I just mean from the production standpoint, right? Like, so for our podcast, like, once that record button gets hit and we're done, like, heavy lifting falls to me, which I don't mind at all. Like, I like that aspect of it. It's fun, but there is a level of just when you go on a show and once you hit the hang up call, you don't have to worry about fuck any of it. But that's gonna bug me now, Brandon. Who, folk singer?
Yeah, I can't think of his fucking name. He's the one who man, I fucking know him too. That's kind of bad. I can't remember his name. He blended like Rivers, Como, and Bob Dylan in his name.
Oh, Brett.
Thank you,
Stuart.
Yes. I was drawing such a blank there.
Yeah, I was on Cinema, or was it Cinema Geek?
I think so. Yeah.
And now it's Movie Go Round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was on there because I had never seen Neverending Story.
Yeah, I think I was on that show like 3 times. I don't even know.
It's rare that I get asked back.
Well,
I think Pot is the only show I've ever been on twice. Geek Cinema Society, thank you.
That's fine.
No, I was on Current Geek, and then I was on that podcast where we talked about George Carlin. Which was, I just saw a post of that. I think that was like 2 years ago now. Or at least a year ago. It was a fucking while ago. Man, time goes by too quickly.
I know it. But at least now the last 3 years are almost recorded once a week in some variation.
Yeah. No, dude, it's so cool, man, going back through those, and like, I'll upload them and then I'll go and I'll play a couple of them, and then like I listened to some of the episode with Scott on it, and it was basically you and him talking about Dark Tower and me just geeking out.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I listened to some of the first episode with JF, which was like an hour and a half long, and little did I know that he was going to be responsible for the longest episode of all time.
Yeah, well, that's why we instituted some kind of maybe an hour, 90 minutes. Because
I also
5 fucking hours is
right. Well, I also like this, especially with the chat room. I like this element of like, we'll chat for a little bit beforehand. I'll make it official. It falls within an hour or 2 hours. And then we'll kill the official show that gets uploaded. But then if the guest is available or you're not already falling asleep, like, we can just hang out and shoot the shit for however long.
Well, Saturday's, better than a Friday night. Where is the chat room? Is it on YouTube at this point? I haven't monitored the chat since we started doing this again.
Everywhere. But if you watch on Twitch, then...
Is that where it is now?
Well, it's It's everywhere because of Restream, but the Restream, I mean, that's where the majority of the chat comes in is Twitch, and then the Restream bot. If someone says something on YouTube or Mixer or anywhere, the bot will paste that into Twitch. So being in Twitch will let you see everything. But
next week I'll have my iPad.
Was I on Else Nerds twice?
Dual screen.
I don't remember. Maybe I was. I know I've been on. I'm always on cloud 9 when I'm hearing Corey's voice, so it all just kind of.
Yeah, you just want to hear him preach. That's all you want. Soapbox it all day.
He's so fun to listen to. He makes the rest of us sound.
Once he gets a little bit fired up, yeah, my dick is hard.
You guys have been invited many times, but as far as showing up, Brandon.
Did I know?
Now, see, again, Brandon has been invited many times. I don't recall many invites.
I'm sure I probably no-showed too.
I'm like the annoying little brother.
I have a bad habit of just falling asleep.
Dude, he has no-showed our show. So,
dude, if I didn't deliver milk, I would be fine. But some days you just come home and sit down, and the next thing you know, it's 6 a.m.
I get it. No, it's that's why I like the move to Saturday. No, because I mean there have been nights like Friday night when we're like, yeah, let's game tonight, or even wrestling. There was time when like we had tickets for wrestling, and where's Brandon? Oh, he fell asleep.
Well, even last night, like I was there for 2 hours, and
so
all of a sudden my age just catches up with me, and I just can't hang.
So I was officially.
Hurt. What the fuck is that? My knees hurt.
I was officially on Else Nerds once, but then I had crashed one of your appearances.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
I missed that show.
It's a good show. I have. It's one of the few. Else Nerds and Pot are one of the few that I have on my feed. But there's
Else Nerds was like my own personal Fat Man on Batman.
Which one was the Fat Man?
What? I can't hear you. Are you still there?
Wait, yeah. Which one was the Fat Man and which one was Batman?
What is it now? Fat Man Beyond? Is that what he retitled that show at? You guys even listen to that show? Probably not.
Fat Man Beyond? What?
No, I know of it. I never actually listened to it.
Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin.
Yeah.
It's a geek show, you know.
Corey says, guess, Nate. And Beatmaster says, not touching this one. So Derek, in case you don't know, you're in the chat, right?
Yeah.
So Captain Temerity is Corey Scott, who you've heard before if you listen to this show. Mm-hmm. He's on all the time. And Beatmaster is a regular in the chat. And is he what is his official role on Else Nerds? Like, I know he chats every once in a while, right? Like, you hear his voice every once in a while. Or is that on... Yeah. Corey says, Brandon, it was your personal show. You were our only listener. Beats the producer. Okay. But they're good guys. That's a good show. When they come back, I would highly recommend that you listen. I listened? What do you mean? See, again, what the fuck? I literally just said...
We established it. You just crashed Brandon's listening.
No, but I mean listening. I literally just said that Else Nerds and Pot are two of the only shows in my podcast feed because outside of the 4.5-hour episode of Free Beer and Hot Wings, I don't have much time to listen to anything else.
Free Beer and Hot Wings covers like 5 a.m. to 8:30 for me, and then I have 8:30 until almost 3 to listen to everything else. So.
See, Free Beer and Hot Wings is half a day for me, right? About 4 hours. Well, you skip the intro because it's all replay, so you skip the first 40 minutes.
I skip ahead until like 36 minutes every time.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed lately, like it's right around if you cut to the 40-minute mark, you get the intro music for the day.
Do you?
Yeah. Like they have that little bit of banter. Like you don't get like the
I always
warp.
start right before that. So I go for the harp and then the banter and then the proper intro.
Yeah, I skip the early morning banter. I go 40 minutes almost to a T. 40 minutes is you're somewhere in that intro music. Because I got so sick of trying to find the harp.
Right. And then I skip ahead through the dumber than the show trivia shit when you always get the day before.
I skip the replay.
Because inevitably I get to hear that 3 times in a row. So I fucking skip that.
He said, Brandon, you can get your Else Nerds fixed. We just did our Galactic Network Endgame spoiler roundtable.
Excellent.
I see you guys are copying us. Thanks. We did it first.
I wasn't there for that one. I was probably sleeping.
Yeah, you were sleeping. You were asleep. You know that this has been established as a racist thing now?
No.
The OK symbol? The upside down one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even make that. I can't do that.
Well, you don't actually do upside down. You just do it like when I don't know. It was a dumb thing. Anyway.
See what happens when I do it? It doesn't look right.
It's the 3D, man. Dude, last night at wrestling, Puff and Jay Freddy did a 3D to one of the guys they were fighting.
Did anybody get the tables?
Somebody shouted get the tables, but nobody actually got the tables.
That's too bad.
But after MJF...
You know who they need for that is Ace Romero. AC, get the tables!
Yeah, right?
It would work out well.
No, after MJF beat Ashley Vox and everyone was throwing shit in the ring, some fan in the crowd picked up his chair. MJF looked at him and he goes, do it! Throw that chair at me, you fat son of a bitch. And the guy actually went to throw the chair. Alexander Lee had to dive into the crowd and grab the chair so he wouldn't throw it. Oh, man, he gets
if
that
only
crowd.
The news had stayed until it got rowdy. Those are the fucking clips I want to see on TV.
Yeah, but they couldn't have. Dude, he got in there and called Westbrook trash, which it is. So that's not really drawing heat. It's just stating the truth. Called Randy a fat fuck and a useless promoter. And oh, yeah, it's like, no, he went fucking like, were you there for his last appearance when he just went ape shit and called everybody out and was done with the place because he was going to Japan or whatever? Yeah, it was basically that again because now he's going to AEW and now he gets to go with the belt. So fuck everybody else.
Still though, good times.
It was good.
All right, I gotta pee again.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going. But and I know Derek's got like 3 hours on us because he's West Coast, so. It's still it's still daylight for you, right? All right. Man. Well, again, thank you, sir, for coming to hang out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
It was good to hear from you again. And live chat room as always. You guys rock. So I'm gonna kill the live stream. So thank you all again. Good night.